confident to do it. I'm going to put Zico's afro on it right now.
Whoa,
the Mew Mew Kitty Cat gates are now open.
Well, you did say the stakes are higher, right?
The stakes are higher than ever.
The stakes are not that high, okay? When we get to Springland, maybe we can discuss it. But until then, guys, let's settle down here for a second. Come
there it is. Mew Mew Kitty Cats going to be on the composition that they look so fantastic on, but Jamili instantly receiving pressure.
Curious to see how this plays out. Basically, Jamili just needs to win 1 series out of 3. That's all he's got to do, and he's going to qualify for the spring finals with his team, Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Can they pull it off? They have to take down the boys, potentially, or they have to take down the Super Frogs. If they don't manage to do that, then it is going to be a grudge match against Colo for that last spot at land. So far, things not looking too great for Mew Mew Kitty Cats as the boys establish a pretty big lead, getting that avenging wrath of Rubcub pulled out of the way. But a swap to Gorecki. This is what I love from this team of Mew Mew Kitty Cats is their pressure on healers. That Holy Paladin of Rubcub always adding in a little bit extra spice.
Yeah, well, we actually did see M2KC. One of the reasons that they were able to beat the Super Frogs is they took down the composition the boys are running. They just put a lot of pressure on a Cubsy. Now we see a lot of pressure on a Gorecki. I think if M2KC can continue this assault, Gorecki could eventually fall. The thing teams really can't calculate is Rubcub on the Holy Paladin with that added Hammer of Justice, as well as some of the additional damage he's able to bring, can really throw these restoration druids for a loop.
Curious if Thugonomics is running that mana rift strategy. I can only imagine that he is. It's the main reason why you would take a Demon Hunter into this fight. Although we saw Mew Mew Kitty Cats take out the Super Frogs when they tried to run the Demon Hunter Death Knight. I'm curious to see if they can do it here against the boys. Currently, Roasty setting up crowd control on Gorecki. Maybe trying to get a sap on his trinket. Gorecki comfortably sitting through this with Thugonomics now having Blur activated. Desperately trying to avoid the kidney shot of Roasties, now securing a double stun. Rubcub needs to get ready for this. He is pushing forward aggressive to set up the team and is falling behind on heals, falling behind on mana. The boys continue to establish an advantage. Curious to see how Roasties tries to navigate this. Potentially going after Thugonomics and a smoke bomb as an option. Kidney shot, smoke bomb. How much damage do they have is now the question. Is it going to be enough to force any major defensive cooldowns? Not even an Iron Bark. That's going to hurt.
I feel like Jamili kind of wasted his combustion a little bit earlier on. There was no kidney shot commit, there was nothing, there was no smoke bomb, and he just threw out the combustion, and because of that, during their next attempt, they didn't really have the damage available that they needed. Unfortunately for M2KC, things are falling apart just a little bit right now as they find a kidney shot on the Thugonomics, but Gorecki in such a good position, should be able to easily keep him alive. Hammer of Justice is found. Jamili, can he find any follow-up crowd control? Unfortunately, he cannot. A banished sap coming in from Roasties, covering him. Now they have huge pressure on the Thugonomics. Looking to get away. Metamorphosis is used. He still has the blur, but Ultimate Greed turning around the pressure on the Roasties. Ultimate Sacrifice comes in from Rubcub to keep him alive. KC barely stays alive. Close call for the boys as well.
Thugonomics is tearing in right now. It's really devastating the amount of damage that he is able to do at this moment in time with 2 members low. Roasty's trying to set up for a big push. Gorecki, how are you going to respond? Blur available, still caught in crowd control. Thugonomics dash is over. Surprising to not see the reverse magic. I guess Rubcub already stunned, not wanting to overlap the diminishing return. It wasn't necessary, so he's going to play it patient, hold on to it for later. Roasties has Vendetta rolling. He really wants to force something with that, but he's just not finding anything on the side of the boys. And now Rubcub, he's almost totally tapped on mana. Potentially they have to go for some aggressive Blessing of Protections, but even then, there's a lot of spells that can just go through that in the composition that the boys have brought in game number 1. Roasties gets stunned up behind the pillar. He's rotting down. Jamili the target of choice. Pressure onto 2 fronts. Roasties goes for the all-in on Gorecki. He's really disrespecting the swap. Bark's getting at half health during that moment in time. Manages to get away with it for now. Potentially an opening for Mew Mew Kitty Cats if they can hold on a bit longer.
Yeah, Gorecki has a lot of greed, but he's also been one of the best druids at surviving these kind of very offensive pushes from enemy teams. Gorecki trinkets out of the blind. Roasty's looking for some more pressure as he sprints over, looking to get some damage rolling. Thugonomics, Smexon still trying to get some pressure on Jamili, but during this split situation, Jamili has a lot of control that he can throw out. In the meantime, it's difficult for Gorecki to actually get the spells off just because of the fact that Roasties always has that kidney shot. He can threaten him. He gets out of form, he gets caught into a kidney shot. That's when Jamili can blink in and start getting some damage rolling. So It's a difficult situation to be in for the boys, but at this point, they've almost hit the finish line. RubCub almost completely tapped on mana. M2KC really struggling with this Demon Hunter Death Knight composition that's available. What are they going to do? Gorecki gets Hammer of Justice. Roasty's running over, and I just don't think they have the damage to take him down. Gorecki's going to be completely fine getting into bear form. Barkskin's still available as well as Renewal. In the meantime, Roasty's getting low. Jamili also, RubCub using the last little bit of mana he has left to keep his team alive, but things are getting out of control for M2KC.
Qualification on the line here. Mew Mew Kitty Cats just need to take 1 series out of 3 today, and they will make it to the spring finals to compete in an international setting for North America. Now it's looking solid with decent pressure on Thugonomics. Flyer's Maledict absorbing a lot of Gorecki's heals. He's almost tapped on mana. RubCub, though, equally so, is totally tapped and low on health. Thugonomics smells blood, trying to go after him a little bit, then immediately actually going back onto Jamili. Combustion popped. Smexon saves Thugonomics with the anti-magic zone. Thugonomics doesn't care. He's just going to jump out of that. That's a pretty risky maneuver, but possibly nets him a kill.
Yeah, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and they force Jamili into the ice block, immediately exiting the safety of that icy cocoon. Now finally going to be in a little bit of trouble as he dips lower. Roasty's actually Thugonomics. He trades out the darkness. Jamili just hanging on by a thread. He gets interrupted. RubCub throws in the ultimate.
Thugonomics
holding on.
Is he going to die when he's at 1%? He's at 1%! Thugonomics holds on for a couple more seconds. Jamili holds on. There's no way. There's no way Thugonomics dies here. It's so close. Blind on Gorecki. Full blind on Gorecki. How is Thugonomics healing up during this moment in time? They were so close to taking it, but now it's looking like a triple kill for the boys as RubCub holds on to any semblance of health that's left, but it's not enough, and the boys take game 1.
What a weird end of a game that could have been. If we were Pack Rats, if you are Zach, you're in the chat right now with all of us just watching with that hashtag TB and that hashtag SF. This has got to be such a stressful situation for them as they're watching these games play out, and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats are finding themselves on the back foot. RubCub instantly going to be opened on.
Yeah, what is Jamili going to be able to get done on this Arcane Mage? Who are they going to be going after in this matchup? Gorecki comfortably sits the blind. Now a sap. Thugonomics taking a little bit of burst damage, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on it for an Arcane Mage. I think a Demon Hunter and a Death Knight, they can actually stay on top of you. They both have ranged interrupts. They both have high mobility, a lot of snares. So far, it doesn't look like Thugonomics and Smexon are going to be going after Jamili, although I do think it would be a decent decision. I know that Zico was talking about before that sometimes the best strategy against an Arcane Mage is just completely ignore him, and maybe the lack of counter pressure Jamili really has available will just allow Thugonomics and Smexon to sit on RubCub and really burn him out of mana quickly.
I'm still wondering why they picked Hook Point, unless they are really intending on outmanaing Gorecki and denying his drinks. Perhaps they can outmana him with access to the Arcane Mage's spell steal, as opposed to the other mages. It costs a lot less mana, and you've got Yamake to reset. We see a blinding light as RubCub tries to set up a push here for the team. Thugonomics the target. Ironbark trades quite effectively. Gorecki actually getting caught in a polymorph. Nice attempt by Jamili. That opens up Thugonomics as a target. If he can continue the chain of polymorphs, this is the second one. Need to look for a third one. Darkness exchange, but fairly so for the vendetta of Roasties. Now that darkness has faded, but so is the crowd control on Gorecki. It connects a big heal. Thugonomics charging forward, but with RubCub's Avenging Wrath, I think it's unlikely that we see him go down unless we see multiple interrupts in a row. He has Divine Favor, accessing that, catching a heal. Caught in a triple stun, a bit of a blunder here by M2KC, stacking up, and now under devastating amounts of damage. Divine Shield exchanged, and that is the most vital defensive cooldown to survive on a Paladin. It's out of the way, and the boys continue to dominate.
This is why I don't like Arcane Mage in this matchup. Jamili just can't get counter pressure. He's always in range of Thugonomics to interrupt him. He's always in range of Smexon to interrupt him. Now finally finding some Arcane Blast, but the damage just isn't there. Thugonomics and Smexon, they're all over RubCub, and RubCub really doesn't have too much left to work with. There's a blind on Gorecki, but he preemptively Ironbarked the blind. Thugonomics should be completely fine. Things spiraling out of control for M2KC. A lot on the line for this team. The boys already up 1-0. RubCub gets interrupted. He almost has a blessing and protection available to him. managing to hold on, but mana not looking good. Definitely in favor of the boys at this point. RubCub just really struggling to get away.
RubCub doing his best with basically nothing, and as Sidu was saying, every game with RubCub in it is a battle for his life, putting it up to the absolute final second for his team, but here that might just be the case. It's looking so devastating for M2KC as they try to desperately pull things together. Great crowd control by RubCub, but no follow-up. Maybe they don't need it. They've managed to pull major defensive cooldowns from Thugonomics in that exchange. They've got the tiniest bit of mana. They've got a Vendetta and a Smoke Bomb in their back pocket, and if they can get a kill with that, it doesn't matter that RubCub's out of mana. They've got one more opportunity.
Yep, Smexon still all over RubCub. They need a few more mana rips to just get him completely out of mana. Here's the Smoke Bomb attempt on the Thugonomics. He's got no trinket. Do they have the damage? One Maledict lands. Millie looking to close out the game with a few Arcane Missiles, but Thugonomics with the Shadow Meld denies the second Gladiator's Maledict. The third one is landed, though, by RubCub. A huge offensive push here by M2KC. Gorecki being caught in the Polymorph. Thugonomics manages to find the reverse magic to free him up. Now Hammer of Justice. Gorecki can't really afford a trinket at this point in the game. Thugonomics, though, getting a little bit low. Things are starting to go in favor of M2KC.
RubCub manages to pull it together here for the team. Gorecki may be having a bit of technical issues, which is then a huge opportunity for M2KC if they can close it out here. And I mean, at this point, it is play to win. Their qualification's on the line. Looks like Gorecki is back. He's gonna be able to recover quite easily. Thugonomics still low, blind with no trinket. This is a big opening. They have to KO in the stun. Do they have the follow-up Hammer of Justice? They have to deny darkness. They don't have it. They go for the cheap shot instead. They need to finish him in this. They can't finish Thugonomics. Blur exchanges. Now RubCub's behind.
Yeah, RubCub completely out of basically everything he has available. Divine Favor, Holy Light manages to catch a big heal. Smexon, Thugonomics need a little bit more uptime, but a beautiful Polymorph denies Smexon. Nicely done by Jamili. RubCub running for his life once again, but with no Blessed Protection, no Divine Shield, he could be in some trouble. In the meantime, Kitty shot on the Thugonomics. Gorecki denies that with the Iron Bark. The boys managed to hold on. M2KC, they're running out of time. RubCub's doing a great job, but it's almost an inevitability at this point that he's gonna fall.
All right, let's see what he can do. Once again, RubCub battling against all odds and everything on the line, qualifying to that spring finals for his team. If he can somehow scramble this game together a tad bit longer, opportunity knocks. They just need to win one series today out of 3 to qualify. Thugonomics, though, is not looking to have that opportunity here. He's jumping in with that Metamorphosis, securing double stuns. RubCub runs away from the anti-magic zone. Smexon grips him back in, but he's able to retreat. Avenging Wrath comes up in the nick of time for RubCub to make a recovery.
Yeah, definitely nicely done by RubCub. Jamili as well, stalling out the game. Thugonomics almost has his trinket rotated back up, and he's been the main pressure point for M2KC in this matchup so far. But with that trinket, he's not going to be very vulnerable. RubCub with the Avenging Wrath, like you said, he's going to be able to stabilize, but after that, at around 8, 9, 10% dampening and no mana left, RubCub's going to really start struggling. Jamili looking for some Arcane Blast, looking for some counter pressure. Gorecki in a good spot, but Gorecki's almost out of mana as well, but I don't think it matters. RubCub will eventually fall. Fell Eruption into a bash. The boys go up 2-0 in this series.
And that hot 3-0 and send the Mew Mew Kitty Cats to play against the best team in North America in the Super Frogs.
Qualification's on the line. RubCub's got one more shot in this series and then another one after that in the next series. But of course, if they could just get it right here and now, that would be a quick breath of fresh air for them. RubCub gets stunned up early on, intercepted on his cross across the map. Gorecki gets blinded. They go for a kill on Thugonomics. Smexon denies it with the anti-magic zone, exchanged fairly for the combustion, but likely Jamili is running reduction of cooldown on that, so he will get it again before the anti-magic zone. That could be the big push if they aren't able to net a kill just very early on, as Blur needs to be enough defense for Thugonomics. He ducks around the corner, swiftly avoiding death. Jamili now gets bursted and is on the back foot. RubCub exchanges that Avenging Wrath. Big increase of healing, allowing his Holy Lights to stabilize. Maybe not. Jamili is just constantly getting destroyed right now. He has to use Dragon's Breath defensively. Polymorph Smexon, trying Polymorph to dispel, get control of these DPS members, but now they've got no engage onto Gorecki. Perhaps they're looking for a swap to him. This is basically the only option I see. They can maybe bait a trinket on a blind or something along these lines and then switch over. aside from that, I don't see any openings developing.
Yeah, Jamili just trying to spam out as many fireballs as possible, trying to get lots of value out of that fire starter honor talent Mages have available. Every time he casts out a fireball, it will be 5 seconds less on the cooldown of his combustion, so he can spam that out. And then all of a sudden, the combustion is desynced with the anti-magic zone. In the meantime, though, Jamili caught into an imprisonment. Gorecki could be in some trouble. Uses the bar skin, Roasties all over him. Jamili's still really low. If there's crowd control on the Rub Cub, Jamili might be forced into his Cauterize or potentially his first Ice Block, but no, M2KC, they do manage to stabilize.
The only thing they got from that push was Bark Skin. M2KC continue to fall behind, and it's looking likely to be a rematch against the Super Frogs, although don't want to count them out just yet. This Thugonomics gets bursted heavily. Jamili looks to secure crowd control, blinks but gets denied. Good interruption by Smexin. Jamili now falls behind. Rub Cub looking to recover, but with Core Mastery, his only defensive cooldown at the moment, it may not be enough. He may have to use the ultimate sacrifice here shortly if Thugonomics can stay on target. Jamili trying to reposition. Thugonomics continuing the mana rifts. Roasty's rooted up, unable to connect. Jamili still being pressured. Cauterize Ice Block available as well. They want to hold on to that as long as they can. Rub Cub's being pressured. Gorecki gets swapped to by Roasties, or maybe he's setting Jamili up for crowd control. It's not exactly certain. Jamili's too far away to support that attack. He gets gripped downstairs, out of line of sight. Huge damage to follow that up. Relying heavily on Rub Cub's support with Avenging Wrath coming up in 1 more second. He needs to connect a big heal here and now to hold on to that Cauterize. Managing to dance with it dangerously, holding out, and they managed to. Rub Cub once again battling for his life.
Definitely in at 40% mana. Things are starting to slip out of his fingertips. In the meantime, though, Thugonomics caught into a kidney shot. Good damage here from M2KC. Gorecki not over-responding to the situation. You can see Thugonomics, he still has so many defensive cooldowns. He can rotate through the boys. They managed to hold on to all their trinkets despite that very scary moment. Rubcub now looking for a Holy Light. Doesn't have the healing, though, to keep Jamili alive as he dips lower. Finally catching a big heal. Another kidney shot onto Thugonomics. This is a combustion. Big damage available for M2KC. Thugonomics not messing around. Trinkets out. Iron Bark going to be committed by Gorecki. That'll keep him afloat. And now the boys need to start getting some damage rolling. M2KC's mana is not doing too hot. Gorecki trinkets out of the blind, and now M2KC, there is an opening. Thugonomics with no trinket, if he gets caught into a stun lock, could fall. Still low, dancing around the map, trying to survive, fighting with Gorecki. Gorecki has to play catch-up in this situation, but no one from the boys has a trinket now. No other Gladiator's Medallion in sight, and if M2KC can pull it off, get one nice clean setup, they could close out the game.
All right, let's see if they can do it. Qualification's on the line here. It's match point in their first attempt of the day. Jamili is just getting owned still as Rubcub holds on barely with not much to work with in terms of healing output. Another Gladiator's Maledict absorbing more of Rubcub's healing. He's caught in the stun by Thugonomics. That's a double. This could be the Cauterize if Smexin can push through with a tiny bit more damage. Rubcub powers through it with Holy Light after Holy Light. And getting interrupted by line of sight. Jamili goes for the kill. Drops in that Meteor. Not enough damage to even scratch Thugonomics. Gorecki may be sitting down for a drink while his team has all of the momentum, and if Gorecki stabilizes back to full mana, not sure what M2KC is going to do. Instead, crowd controlling Rubcub in desperation to get the Cauterize. Gorecki is still very low on mana, potentially an opportunity for M2KC to find victory. Avenging Wrath up right at the last possible second for Rubcub once again to hold on to the Cauterize. A close call, miracle after miracle for M2KC to even still be alive.
Yep, good damage there from Jamili on the Thugonomics, but Gorecki in a prime position. And somehow, some way, M2KC has actually swung mana in their favor. Innervate being used by Gorecki, trying to throw out some expensive heals to keep Thugonomics nice and stable, but still, Thugonomics has been forced to run away, and this is what we've kind of seen. If you pressure the Demon Hunter enough, you can't afford to be pushing in, getting the consistent stuns onto Rubcub, and that's just an opportunity for the healer to keep his mana as long as possible.
Another swing towards Thugonomics, not even a dent. Rubcub once again on the ropes. Gorecki's crowd control. This has to be the opportunity for M2KC to develop pressure, but Thugonomics denies it, crowd controlling 2 members of the team. Rubcub opts to Divine Shield to avoid the mana rift, realizing that that tiny bit of mana he's got left, he has to protect it more than his own health so that his partners do not fall behind. Vendetta now available, but all the defense of the boys is as well. It would have to be a blunder for the boys to go down. Let's see if M2KC can make them choke here. Thugonomics dips low, jumps into the battle with that Metamorphosis. Reverse magic available for or Ring of Frost should he land it. They're not even able to get it. Jamili on the back foot now once again. Very low on health economics as well. Could be a bit of a race to the finish here as Cauterize is likely to trigger. Ultimate Sacrifice denies the Cauterize with last second left, but now they switch their attention to Roasties. Perhaps he should have just exchanged evasion. I don't think that RubCub has the mana to heal 3 members of the team through this much pressure that much longer, and still no openings.
Yep, there are no openings for M2KC. Everyone has their Gladiators medallions available. Double Dragon's Breath by Jamili. He's looking to try to create some space. RubCub gets gripped in. Jamili looking to counter pressure, but RubCub is in so much trouble. He doesn't have anything at 10% dampening. Looking to kite away on the Divine Steed, but Thugonomics says no way. Sending M2.
We're gonna see Chanimal and Snuts, some of the best Warlocks to ever touch a keyboard, on that DK and DH.
We're also going to see a Moonkin and a Rogue. Let's see what this can get done for the M2KC.
Yeah, definitely have to see what exactly happens, and this is what I kind of predicted from Super Frogs. Probably cleaned up their gameplay just a little bit when they played M2KC in the last time these two teams met. M2KC, they ran the Holy Paladin, Assassination Rogue, Fire Mage, and kind of bossed all over Super Frogs, sending them to the lower bracket. Super Frogs making some adaptations, bringing in the Restoration Shaman of Cubsy, but M2KC, I don't know if they predicted what was going to happen, but bringing in a balanced Druid Assassination Rogue is kind of a surprise to me.
It's a bit of a surprise, but I think they're desperate and they're trying to figure out things here in this series against the Super Frogs. If it works, they qualify. If it doesn't work, they get a third chance, and they know that it doesn't work when they face Never Lucky, who is likely to play a Cleave setup and could play the identical one that has been throwing M2KC for a loop, the Demon Hunter Death Knight. So I don't really blame them for wanting to try something different here, facing the Super Frogs in their second opportunity to qualify. Snuts jumping in, imprisoned into Mana Rift likely, burning away that resource, the mana bar of RubCub, to eliminate his heals later on in the fight. I'm curious as to why Cubsy went on Shaman as opposed to Restoration Druid. Maybe he was expecting some sort of purge-based composition from M2KC, wanted to dodge that and locked in the Shaman, but potentially now opens himself up to crowd control with that Solar Beam from Jamili. Very curious to see if Jamili is able to utilize that effectively to find a kill. Good pressure on Snuts so far.
Yeah, definitely really good pressure on the Snuts. What can M2KC get done? If we look at mana right now, Cubsy has a commanding lead, but a full kidney shot on the Snuts. Jamili looking for some pressure. Chanimal all over him in this matchup. Snuts still getting a little bit low. It has the darkness as well, but we've known Snuts to not run that cover of darkness, so it's not going to be a huge lifeline for their team unless that's one of the adaptations that Super Frogs ended up picking in this matchup. RubCub potentially looking for a drink as he sits down in cat form. If he can recover some mana, it's going to be good, but Snuts hunts him down, leaves him a nice little mana rift. Enjoy that, RubCub.
I don't think he's going to be enjoying it. His mana now almost dwindled down to nothing, and there's really no significant pressure in their team's favor. I'm uncertain as if this composition is actually going to work for M2KC overall. They do gain the advantage of 2 Thorns, which redirects damage, but the self-sustainability of the Death Knight class and the Havoc Demon Hunter appears to be more than enough to just totally negate Thorns even in the match. So this double Druid I don't think is going to work for M2KC. Can't blame them for trying though here, as they need to find an answer for the Super Frogs. Decent damage onto Snuts this moment in time, but with Anti-Magic Zone traded out, he's likely to survive, still able to rely on Darkness for the incarnation in 30 seconds of Jamili, and I'm almost starting to wonder if double Fire Mage is their best shot. I mean, they've got Jamili and they've got Rosita. Double Fire Mage has been going pretty close with Method Orange. They beat them in the upper bracket. They went 3-2 with them in the lower bracket. The team of Easy Money playing the double Fire Mage. Maybe that's their only shot at getting to the land.
Are you saying that M2KC should open up a bakery, Sydney?
Yeah. You need some competition. It's good for you.
All right, RubCub, Jamili, Roasty's all hovering around 50% health, and this is kind of how we expected this matchup to go. Jamili just lacks a little bit of a punch there on that Moonkin right now, but with Incarnation can get really aggressive. Snuts caught into the kidney shot, but he just has so many defensives. I mean, although the kidney shot is a little scary, it's not that scary when you have Trinket, Darkness, as well as your Blur available on that Demon Hunter. So Super Frog's looking nice and healthy. Cubsy's been doing a good job on the Restoration Shaman to keep him alive. M2KC really struggling to stay afloat in this matchup. RubCub almost completely tapped on mana. There's been no opportunities in the game for him to drink, except potentially now. Chanimal and Snuts dash over as fast as they possibly can to deny RubCub that precious drink.
He got basically no mana back, but there's decent pressure. Solar Beam on Cubsy. An opening maybe here for M2KC. Not finding it. Cubsy starts to stabilize as he leaves the crowd control. Roasty sets up a smoke bomb. Cubsy is going to duck into that, potentially with a Spirit Link Totem. Gladiator's Maledict avoided. I believe it was grounded by Cubsy. Nice move on his part, removing that healing absorption effect. That would have otherwise been very stressful for him to deal with. Mana surprisingly evening out, but I do think that Cubsy will go for some time on 0 even against Rubcub, with Healing Wave being so efficient. Blind. Likely we see Cubsy exchange his Gladiator's Medallion. He's waiting for Roasties to connect and use the stun, I guess, but he's waiting quite a long time. Now bashed, opts to trinket that, but now Snuts gets punished. Earthen Wall Totem from Cubsy, just in time. Snuts stays alive, and Super Frogs continue to build their advantage.
Yep, Super Frogs doing a good job, but there has been signs of life for M2KC on a Snuts. He still doesn't have a trinket available. If they can catch him in some crowd control, catch him in a kidney shot with an ACC on Cubsy, it might be able to win, but they have ran out of time, I believe. I mean, look at Rubcub's mana. He's got nothing left in the tank. 2 minutes left on his Innervate. Jamili getting low. Barskin looking to deflect some of Chanimal's damage, but there's just way too much pressure from Super Frogs for Rubcub to handle at this point in the game. Potentially sitting down for a drink right now. Cubsy has to shut it down, manages to find it. Rubcub wants to keep Jamili alive. He wants to heal him, but look, there's nothing. Jamili trinkets out, throws out Renewal. That's the last thing M2KC has. And this is looking bad for M2KC. They have not found an answer for this Demon Hunter Death Knight. And it's looking
The Demon Hunter. Will this be the darkness that overtakes North America?
Will Rubcub make it to the light at the end of the tunnel as he faces down Death Knight after Death Knight after Death Knight here today to qualify? They had 3 shots to make it to the spring finals. They're already down 1, and they're looking like they may be down the second, and only with 1 left. It is getting grim. It is getting dark, but Rubcub continues to shine bright. Perhaps the X factor for M2KC to go all of the way.
true beacon of light for Holy Paladins everywhere, but so far it hasn't been looking good for M2KC. Not a lot of pressure early on. They look for early crowd control into Cubsy, but it got denied by Chanimal. Now full blind being thrown out. Cubsy opting to just sit that. There's been no real offense committed, no vendetta. Snuts just comfortably sits that. Anti-magic zone trades out, but there wasn't really anything used. Roasty didn't commit the vendetta. Normally you want to see the vendetta traded with the anti-magic zone to really reduce the Rogue Mage burst capabilities. It lines up quite well, and now Super Frogs won't have that available.
Good teamwork from Snuts, getting Cubsy out of the crowd control. Roasty's pressured, Jamili pressured, Rubcub getting mana rifted, and Super Frogs continue to develop that advantage. There has been more pressure on Snuts, though, than in the past. This could be attributed to the fact that Cubsy is playing Shaman and not Druid. On Shaman, he is much more exposed to crowd control and interrupts, and M2KC are capitalizing on that, and that could be an opening for them overall. Rubcub moves in. He needs to deal with the grounding totem. Not able to get the Hammer of Justice on that grounding totem, I do believe, so Rubcub needs to move forward and secure that for the team. He mounts up, lands the stun, crowd control on all three members. Jamili looks for follow-up, gets denied by Smexen. Great denial, but Jamili goes for follow-up, gets denied again by Chanimal, sorry. We've seen so many Death Knights here today. Chanimal with great interception, totally shutting Jamili out.
Yeah, he's been doing a really good job with not only his Death Grip, with his Mind Freeze, with his Pet Control. Rubcub already around 50% mana. Cubsy not too far ahead, but with Mana Rift in favor of Super Frogs. M2KC, they're falling behind. Snuts once again looks for a Mana Rift. Rubcub trinkets out. Smoke Bomb attempt onto Snuts. He has no trinket. Hammer of Justice onto Cubsy. He's going to have to trinket out. Blur gets used by Snuts because he's looking to dance around, try to keep himself alive. Reverse Magic gets used once again on the Cubsy to free him from any type of crowd control. Super Frogs completely stabilizing the situation, although Jamili lands a nice lockout onto Cubsy. It doesn't seem to matter too much. The damage has just fallen off for M2KC.
Cubsy is honestly looking a little bit shaky here in game number 2, getting interrupted multiple times. Fortunately, Chanimal has been there to back up the team, really putting it on his shoulders to carry it all the way through. With Avenging Wrath activated, Rubcub is likely to recover, but needs to get out of crowd control and avoid interrupts. Goes for a Holy Light, gets it. No interrupt there, landed. We do see crowd control initiated on the 2 members. Snuts is isolated. What's he going to do under this situation and pressure? No Gladiator's Medallion for 15, 14 seconds. Snuts holds on by a thread. Cubsy still crowd controlled. Hammer of Justice. No reverse magic. Snuts manages to stay alive despite all of that crowd control. Holding out for the Spirit Link Totem, which now will save the day, and RumCub's mana is not looking good right now. How much longer can he keep this light going is the question. It's a battle for qualifications. It's a battle for a spot at the spring finals. Can they go all the way, or are they just going to get knocked out by one composition 3 times in a row? That would be just total domination.
That would be devastating for the team of M2KC. RumCub, 40% health, 10% mana. Jamili rotting down, Roasty as well. What is RumCub going to do? Luckily for him, he's managed to hold on to his Divine Shield as well as the ultimate sacrifice. Divine Shield gets traded out. Now RumCub, with no defensive cooldowns besides that ultimate sacrifice, he's really vulnerable. If Snuts and Chanimal can make their way on top of this Holy Paladin, it's going to be difficult for him to survive. Hammer of Justice lands on a Cubsy. Big all-in attempt onto Snuts. Anti-magic zone trades. Chanimal backing Snuts up as Cubsy couldn't heal him. He can deny a lot of the damage. Darkness trades out as well. Super Frogs, they realize they're at the finish line. They just need a bit more damage, a bit more time. They're going to be putting up the 2nd point in this series.
It's looking good for the Super Frogs here as RumCub's totally tapped out. Jamili holds on by a thread. Can they somehow pull it together with one big push? It's unlikely at this point. There's so much defense available. All 3 members in trouble. This is looking like a triple kill. 6 seconds away for RumCub to be able to stabilize. 4 seconds away. Jamili ice blocks. RumCub's crowd controlled. He now has Avenging Wrath. Perhaps RumCub can bounce his team back from the brink. Avenging Wrath popped. He's still in trouble, low on health, gets one big heal. Somehow pops his team back into the fight for now, giving them a couple more opportunities to battle it out, but it's still just bittersweet.
Yeah, Roasties does have his Vanish if he needs it, but he's caught into a stun. Can they take him down? Jamili with no Cauterize, no Ice Block, activates the Temporal Shield, but RumCub just no mana left. Full sap on the Cubsy though. There's a stun on the RumCub. Is there an attempt here on the Snuff? If he gets stunned, he could ultimately fall. Can M2KC turn this around? Full Ring of Frost into Polymorph on the Cubsy, but RumCub, Jamili, and Roasties all just rotting down so low. I think it's unlikely they can take down Snuff. Chanimal just needs a little bit more damage onto RumCub, but he's just ignoring him, just going after Jamili, playing the safe strategy. He knows he's going to eventually fall, and what is M2KC going to do?
Probably lose.
I mean,
can he get it done here and qualify his new team? A team that he was just picked up for. Can he qualify him to land?
We're about to find out here as M2KC scramble to find a composition to beat the Cleaves. If it manages to even get a game off the Super Frogs, perhaps it is an answer for Never Lucky, because Never Lucky is pretty much all Cleaves. Although we did see some Boomkin Elemental Shaman, perhaps they've polished that up as well. It's not entirely certain as to who will be the 4th spot for North America, because M2KC is having such a hard time with this Demon Hunter Death Knight composition throughout the day, and likely to face it a 3rd time, with that 3rd time being the last opportunity for them to qualify for that 4th spot. If they are unable to overcome the Super Frogs here, reverse sweep, and then unable to defeat Never Lucky, the grudge match against Colo, it will then be Never Lucky taking the 4th and final spot at the spring finals land later this year. Huge opportunity at Big Cash, huge opportunity to qualify all the way to the World Finals directly from that tournament. There is a lot on the line here in these next 2 series for M2KC, assuming that they lose. So you do not want to go anywhere. You definitely want to be telling your friends, getting them in here, because this is a battle to decide the best of North America and who will represent them in the spring finals.
Look at this. It's Dark Soul. It's Icy Veins. You know what Snut says? He leaps away, uses the Metamorphosis, completely defensive. Cubsy was caught in crowd control. Snuts is just going to run away. He's going to avoid damage at all costs. Now he can get aggressive. That threat is no longer there from M2KC, and you can tell Super Frogs, they have a game plan. They know how to beat this composition. Can they execute? That's a different question. Rosita Jones is actually playing the Demonic Circle, so he's not going to have access to that Mortal Coil to really set himself up for damage, but he can, of course, use that to portal away if Chanimal and Snuts are getting a little bit too comfortable.
Rosita trying to set up some burst, crowd control on Cubsy with Polymorphs, but just no damage at this moment in time. Mana Rift establishing a lead. I'm actually curious if the Super Frogs win this. They are heavily disadvantaged in the matchup. I mean, this is a composition that the Super Frogs typically run into Cleaves and just totally shut them out. Now they may actually be able to reverse the pressure, and it just goes to show that it is not just a matter of locking in the counter. You also need to have your reps You also need to have your practice and your strategy on point. So perhaps this composition won't work for M2KC. The pressure has been quite high for the Super Frogs throughout. Cubsy's mana maintains at a healthy margin. That polymorph unfortunately breaking for Jamili. That could have been an opportunity, and now that is lost. Perhaps, though, the Destruction Warlock, this could be a warm-up for their last shot against Never Lucky. They do have decent pressure on Snuts now at this moment, with Jamili leading the charge.
Yeah, Jamili actually traded an Ice Block to get that earlier polymorph as well, and it breaking is definitely not ideal for their team. Jamili could potentially be a target. He hasn't activated the Cold Snap just yet, so that could be something that potentially bites him a little bit later on in this game. If he gets pressure down in 3 minutes, then has to use Cold Snap, all of a sudden he's not going to have that third Ice Block for a really long time. So definitely look at those cooldowns, see when Jamili decides to pull the trigger with that. Now Cubsy in a polymorph, fear spam onto Snuts, and this is normally what we see, the strategy for M2KC. It's all about Jamili spamming out polymorphs, Rosita Jones spamming out fear, allowing RubCub to create some distance on the map where he can sit down and try to get a drink, but he hasn't really found that opportunity so far in this particular match.
Cubsy getting caught in midfield, but now should easily recover at the pillar. Both Cubsy and the Ghoul of Chanimal hunting RubCub down to keep him in combat, deny him from drinks and regenerating mana, and if he does run out of mana, Rosita Jones will be in trouble. They're on match point. They have to overcome all odds and win 3 games in a row against the Super Frogs. If they are unable to do so, they will then need to defeat Never Lucky. Fortunately for them, though, Never Lucky is, I would say, more limited in their composition pools than that of Super Frogs, and perhaps if they can polish up this Destruction Warlock Frost Mage, that could be a good option to take Never Lucky out later on in the day. But of course, if they are eliminated here, they will also lose out on the opportunity of accumulating more points to potentially fall back on that as a qualification method for the World Finals later this year. Chanimal's getting blasted in midfield, nether warded on his Asphyxiate. Nice moves from Rosita.
Yeah, definitely an excellent job. Snuts on his mount right now, looking to shut down the drink of RubCub, but I think he's going to get a complete reset on his mana. Good control here from M2KC as both teams have completely stabilized, basically a full reset at this point. The only thing that's not going to be resetting is that timer marching towards dampening. Chanimal, of course, will be a very vulnerable target later on. Right now, he can Death Strike. Although he is taking quite a bit of burst and Cubsy is caught in crowd control, maybe he could fall. Anti-Magic Zone is used. Like I was saying, Chanimal, if we move on late enough in dampening, Death Strike, all of a sudden it doesn't heal for as much, and that's where Jamili and Rosita Jones can really rip in and put in a lot of pressure.
Another important factor to calculate in here is the Azurite traits for the Demon Hunter, the Burning Soul on the 3rd ring of Azurite traits. This then allows you a huge absorption effect when you cast Consume Magic, which dispels a beneficial magic and then gives it to you, and then also gives you a 40,000 absorb. That's a pretty big absorb, so Snuts can frequently access that on top of his Soul Leech healing to then restabilize and stay in the fight. This is why we see Demon Hunters be so durable, so they focus on just surviving, burning down the mana of the opposing healer, and then jumping in with I-Beams and Metamorphosis to deal out huge amounts of burst damage. Here currently with I-Beam activated, going after RubCub. So far, RubCub did a good job earlier on finding a drink, but he will need to look for those frequently. Otherwise, the Super Frogs may be able to just close this out here and now on Game 3.
Yeah, RubCub crosses the map once again, looking for another drink, another reset of his mana. But here's one of the things as well, a potential win condition for Super Frogs later on in dampening is they could just sit on Rosita Jones. Although he has the Demonic Circle, the Death Knight, and the Demon Hunter have a high amount of mobility. They're not going to be as easily kited. Chanimal getting really low. Cubsy has to trade out the Spearling Totem. That was great burst from Jamili and Rosita Jones. Excellently done. Jamili finds another polymorph onto Cubsy. What are they going to be able to get done? Chanimal gets totally topped off in this situation, but maybe Snuts and Chanimal need to start thinking twice before getting so aggressive.
Rosita's Demonic Circle positioning is atrocious. He just Demonic Circled 2 inches, now has to trade Unending Resolve. It's still not in a good position. He needs to take better advantage of the Demonic Circle. He's now burned through a lot of cooldowns. Chanimal has managed to steal a polymorph from Jamili, possibly securing the match and securing the series. Huge damage. Kill denied for now, thanks to RubCub in those final seconds, as a huge heal suddenly stabilizes Rosita back to full HP. 12% dampening, etching closer to that magic 40% number to kill an Unholy Death Knight. We do see Cubsy currently in a polymorph with Chanimal at half health, but anti-magic shield should be more than enough to absorb this attack unless Jamili can continue the chain. I believe Jamili, is he stolen on the polymorph by Chanimal? About to find out. Stun into Mana Rift. I do believe that Jamili fake cast the Dark Simulacrum. Now that should allow him more opportunity to get crowd control, but Rubcub's totally burnt on mana. Cubsy actually gets out of a fear. I mean, I guess Chanimal's in a bit of danger, but usually you would see a Restoration Shaman trinket and combo that with a defensive ability. Just trinketing and not doing anything with it is a little bit strange on Cubsy's part. Potentially an opening for M2KC, but they need to set up Rubcub for a drink. They do not have good control of Chanimal's Ghoul. They should be Frost Novaing or snaring it, at least helping Rubcub a bit with it. He's going to Entangling Roots it and try and line of sight. If Rubcub can drop combat, Chanimal gets blasted. One Chaos Bolt, Ray of Frost from Jamili. No backup. Rosita can't get in line of sight. This is where I would have liked to seen Rosita reposition his Demonic Circle. He could have even portaled right on top of Chanimal there, maybe forced a kill with it. The Demonic Circle positioning is definitely not the best here from Rosita. Placing it in the middle of the... Why is it in the middle of the map?
Well, I mean, it's next to the gateway, which is good.
Yeah,
so at least portal to the gateway.
You're going to get Death Gripped instantly.
Yeah, I mean... I think it's difficult for a Destruction Warlock to really move to an ideal position with Chains of Ice on him to relay his port. It's not exactly the same as a Windwalker Monk, but yeah, like you said, not necessarily the greatest position to be in. Snuts now taking a little bit of pressure as he still chases down Rubcub.
Oh, huge hit from Jamili. This could be it for M2KC to stay alive in the tournament. We may see a mirror between these teams if they can manage to pull it off. Snuts drops Darkness, hovering in that to stay alive, and now has managed to recover. Rubcub has stabilized some mana. Cubsy and Polly, Snuts breaks him out. Good teamwork between this duo. Rosita Jones with no unending resolve for quite some time, and Ironbark will be fading shortly. That could be an opportunity for Jamili. He's got Icy Veins rolling, Dark Soul available. Rosita portaling into midfield. He will now not likely be able to escape, and he doesn't have defense for some time, and I think the Demonic Circle placement could maybe potentially net Super Frogs a kill momentarily.
Yep, I mean, definitely as we get higher in dampening, it's going to be a lot of pressure on Rosita Jones, but in the meantime, Snuts has to run away. Full polymorph on Cubs, he's been left behind in midfield. But with Snuts out of line of sight, there's not a great target right now for Rosita Jones and Jamili. Who are they going to turn their attention to? Chanimal in midfield, almost at that 40% mark where Demon Hunter's healing and Death Knight's healing, this really isn't that great, but Rubcub's almost completely tapped on mana. This is a tense moment for both teams. Rosita Jones once again has to trade out the unending resolve. He just hasn't been using his Demonic Circle. He hasn't been kiting at all. He's looking for pure offense in this situation, but Super Frogs, they have the tools they need to survive.
They've been stalling Rosita Jones out on this Chaos Bolt for some time. Rubcub's trying to drink. Rosita pulls away, relays the Demonic Circle at the pillar. Very important so that he can go out of line of sight of Death Grip. Now he needs to reposition back in center field, but he can't line of sight Rubcub's Nourishes. Imprisoned at low health on the Nourish heal. Great disruption. Cubsy, though, is polymorphed and Chanimal is being pressured. Will he fall? It's match point. If Rosita Jones falls here, they've only got one more opportunity against Never Lucky to qualify. It might just have to be that. Chanimal is low on health. Anti-magic zone protecting him for now. Rosita's Dark Soul is faded. Infernal's up in 4. Those Infernals need to cook up a win. Otherwise, I'm not sure if Rosita is going to be able to stay alive much longer.
Yeah, Rubcub throws out the Thorns, making it difficult for Chanimal and Snuts to really push through, but they don't care. They're going for it. Cubsy caught into a full fear. Chanimal could be in some trouble, but he's trying to dip it out of line of sight, manages to do so. Rosita Jones using the Demonic Circle, trying to bait Snuts and Chanimal in the open, but Rosita's in a lot of trouble. Cubsy has any purges, he could easily fall, but a nice polymorph from Jamili slows down the offensive push of Super Frogs. Chanimal getting low, also stuck in midfield. Dark Simulacrum is used. Did he get a polymorph? We'll definitely have to see. Rubcub's sitting in cap form right now, potentially wanting to avoid that, but Chanimal in so much trouble. Cubsy with no trinket. If he gets crowd control, won't have access to Spirit Link. He needs the Spirit Link. He has to drop it. He does manage to get it and land it, keep Chanimal alive, but both Snuts and Chanimal are so dangerous.
No defense for 10 seconds. They're on match point to potentially qualify. They cannot afford to fall here. Rosita tries to counter-aggress. The triple Shadow Fury into Polymorph. Great setup by M2KC, but where is the damage? Rosita's being disrupted. He can't get that final Chaos Bolt. He's falling further behind. He Demonic Circles away. Gates to center field. Frost Nova by Jamili. Buys him a couple of extra seconds. Nether Ward on the Gladiator's Maledict, avoiding one, but a second is incoming. Rosita's still in trouble. Rubcub is rotting down effectively to nothing in the back line. He has to heal himself with no mana, but they survived long enough. We're at that 40% mark. Chanimal's in trouble as Cubsy is totally tapped on on mana. Grounding Totem, his last line of defense, but he's stunned up. He can't access that. Jamili tearing in with Icy Veins, and it looks like M2KC are going to stay alive potentially. Rosita equally in trouble. Chanimal grips him into the double stun. Jamili ice blocks it for the kill. He knows it's all or nothing at this point. Gets a poly, but Rosita falls first. Potentially Chanimal cross-killed. He's on 1%. Is he going to go down? Death Strike! He holds on for a second. Cubsy keeps him up. Jamili can't net the... What? Maybe. Rub Cup moves in. He's got Feral Affinity. Is it going to be enough?
Oh no, Chanimal staying alive.
Kidding me right now?
Jamili, but no Rub Cup falls. How is Chanimal still alive? This is ridiculous, but Super Frogs managed.
To a lot of these wizards because this composition has a lot of burst damage and a lot of stops on the side of the boys. So the boys really throwing a curveball here. Then Super Frogs kind of just taking the bait.
I really wonder if the boys should be implementing the Elemental Shaman Destruction Warlock composition. Smexon has been playing Elemental Shaman a lot. I think that would be a respectable answer for the Frost Mage Destruction Warlock. Cubsy's having a field day, re-stealthing constantly and stunning effectively the entire team of the boys with that. Greki moves in, secures crowd control. It was a preemptive Iron Bark that should deny the ice block. Lots of damage. Wealthy Man gets Ring of Peace back into the fight in line of sight of Thugonomics, and I do like that synergy, the Ring of Peace from the Monk, allowing the knockback effect so that if someone tries to escape out of line of sight, they simply can't, and the Thugonomics can rain down terror with Chaos Bolts, and this maneuver could be what allows the boys to find victory in game number 1, and winning the blind is very important when these teams are so diverse in their compositions.
I'm actually kind of surprised Gorecki decided to lock in the Mistweaver Monk instead of the Restoration Druid. I feel like with the Feral Affinity, it could have been a decent answer to help assist his team with additional stuns and more damage, but opting not to do so, going with the Way of the Crane. Mistweaver Monk instead, pushing forward. Chun-Li taking a whole bunch of damage there by Chanimal, but Diffused Magic saves the day, but Chun-Li only has one more defensive cooldown left. That Touch of Karma, and it actually gets traded out. And there's still Dark Soul for Chanimal. There's still Icy Veins for Wealthy Man. Things are looking good for the Super Frogs. Chun-Li a very vulnerable target right now. Thugonomics in a good position to just smoke Chanimal. A lot of damage going to be used. Unending Resolve forced to be traded out. It's a really long cooldown Chanimal just used in order to survive that last attack.
Very interested to see if they can manage to pull off a kill on Chun-Li moving forward now with Icy Veins and Dark Soul. Huge damage already. Chun-Li retreats back to the pillar with Gorecki, looking to reconvene. Another disadvantage of bringing in the Mistweaver Monk is you are susceptible to interrupts, of which there are 2 on the team of Super Frogs, the Spell Lock of Chanimal and the Counter Spell of Wealthy Man. Although these interrupts will likely have to be used on Thugonomics, as he is such a threat with Fear and Chaos Bolt. So I'm curious to see where they decide to place their interrupts, currently both on cooldown, so Chun-Li should be able to recover even though he dips very low on health in this position. Perhaps Super Frogs should be rotating those interrupts a bit differently, trying to save one potentially to net a kill by being able to interrupt Gorecki. That could have been a moment of opportunity to kill Chun-Li, but they don't find it. Cycloning him up instead. Gorecki looked like he wanted to cross midfield, but then immediately pulled back as Chun-Li got cycloned. Chanimal gets denied. Wealthy Man double blinks in, secures Polymer for the team. Good crowd control. He's full on icicles, dropping all 5 now on Chun-Li, but not scratching his health. Denied on the follow-up with that leg sweep. Thugonomics interrupting Chanimal, but Gorecki was not able to make it back to the pillar in time. That now means that Thugonomics can rain down that Gladiator's Maledict and Chaos Bolts. Cubsy denies the kill with Iron Bark. The boys then switch targets to Chanimal, trying to create pressure in multiple places. Good tactic to burn Restoration Druid's mana, as Life Bloom is expensive, and to switch it onto multiple targets is going to be an inefficient way to heal. So the boys could find victory through mana by switching targets if they continue to do this.
Yep, definitely. Have to see how mana plays out for both of these teams. Cubsy has been known to sneak away and get drinks in the past, able to recover his mana quite heavily. Thugonomics in midfield right now, looking for some damage, gets bashed up by Cubsy. That's denied. Wealthy Man now looking to get aggressive on a Thugonomic. And I think Chanimal and Wealthy Man, they might at some point be able to just crowd control up Chun-Li. And if Thugonomics is in midfield, that's a great target for them to just throw their spells at. Really tax Gorecki's mana quite a bit. Cubsy in the meantime, I think he's in the backfield looking to potentially get out of combat, sneak away for a drink and recover his mana, but no, Chun-Li shuts that down with a paralysis. So he looks to get some damage rolling, but so far, Chun-Li really hasn't been able to get too much done. No Touch of Death available for another minute and 10 seconds, and until dampening, I don't feel like Chanimal is really that great of a target for them. might have to start turning their attention onto Wealthy Man. But the problem with that is once you leave Wealthy Man, or once you tunnel down Wealthy Man, you leave Chanimal alone. That's going to be really difficult to deal with. Chanimal's going to have a spammable Fear, a lot of damage, Shadow Fury that the boys will have to deal with. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Really, the boys have to pick their poison. Do they go after the mage or do they go after the warlock? Which one is going to be limited in damage? Which one is going to get shut down on their crowd control? Those are the things you have to consider as the boys moving forward.
Moving into the spring finals, I think it's important to take into consideration the Super Frogs are pretty much the only roster to run this Frost Mage, Destruction Warlock, Restoration Druid, or at least to the same level that they are running it. And perhaps it could be the X factor for their team to find victory and qualify to the World Finals. The boys need to try and craft an answer. They're going to lead in the blind pick with Windwalker, Destruction Warlock, a fairly well-balanced composition, both bringing in ranged and physical damage to the fray. Good support with Ring of Peace as well, but it may not even be enough to overcome the overwhelming pressure that the Super Frogs can build later into dampening. And then where do you go if you're the boys? Do you continue trying this Windwalker Warlock, or do you tag in Spexen on the Elemental Shaman, try and bring in a Wizard to battle the Wizards? Infernals have landed for Chanimal. He's going to be ramping up for huge damage. Very important as a Destruction Warlock after Infernals that you use Rain of Fire. This is an instant cast way to spend your Soul Shards, and during your Infernals with the Grimoire Supremacy talented, it increases the damage of your next Chaos Bolt. Then after you've ramped up your Chaos Bolt damage, you pop your Dark Soul. So Chanimal has Dark Soul currently active, and his next Chaos Bolt will be as big as it pretty much can get. And it looks like they're trying to stall it out, and they've managed to stall it out until Dark Soul has faded. So Chanimal's ramp was completely destroyed here by the boys. They've definitely done their homework, and they've shut him down on this push.
Yep, Thugonomics still in a decent position here at the pillar, trying to avoid as much damage as possible while also being a turret for his team. Finds one big Chaos Bolt, it gets reflected. Nicely done by Chanimal. That Nether Ward was beautiful. Gorecki as a response has to trade out the Life Cocoon. Looking at mana once again, you can see Gorecki on the Mistweaver Monkey actually has a big lead here. 8% dampening. What is Chun-Li going to be able to get done? He's just getting controlled so much in midfield. He's not feared. He's polymorphed. He's caught into roots. And Thugonomics and Gorecki, they haven't been able to back him up too much. I think Thugonomics is actually going after the pet right now of Chanimal. If he can shut that down, potentially free up Gorecki to get out of combat and look for some drinks to reset his mana. And oh no, this is bad. Very bad for the Super Frogs right now. Very bad for the boys. Cubsy actually sat down, completely recovered all of his mana. This is a little bit disastrous for the boys. That was one of their main win conditions. But a big offensive push here onto Chanimal. They might be able to take him down. He catches a huge heal by Cubsy, using that Innervate to make all his heal spells free of cost. He can use very expensive healing to quickly catch up Chanimal and Wealthy Man's HP.
Gorecki still has Way of the Crane. Maybe they're looking for an all-in Crane attack to try and take out Super Frogs in game number 1. Gorecki's held onto it for some time. The difficulty of that is that when you move in with Way of the Crane, you're susceptible to crowd control, of which the Super Frogs have a plethora of. So Gorecki will have to navigate through with his teammates interrupting these crowd control abilities so that he can connect with Way of the Crane. But then if they focus all their interrupts on crowd control, then there's big damage abilities such as Chaos Bolt and Ebon Bolt and Ray of Frost that they will not have interrupts for, although Way of the Crane should be enough to heal through that. So I want to see the boys coordinate together, protect Gorecki during Way of the Crane, make a big push, try to get an ice block, maybe some more Gladiators, Maledicts combos as well. This is a good way to overwhelm a Restoration Druid's heal over time effects. So far we have not seen any big pushes from the boys, and they continue to fall behind.
Definitely, this is not looking that great for the boys. They lack control in this matchup. That's one of the benefits that Super Frogs has. With this Mage in this lock, they have spammable crowd control. They can just control up Chun-Li, deny a lot of the healing and damage that he has available. Chun-Li now getting bashed. Life Cocoon trades out from Gorecki. That was really nice control from Cubsy. Chun-Li traded out the Touch of Karma, and then before he could get topped off by Gorecki, Cubsy cycloned him, waiting out the duration of the Touch of Karma. Then a lot of burst damage came in, and because of that, Gorecki had to respond with the Life Cocoon. Now Chun-Li's a vulnerable target. No Touch of Karma, no Fortifying Brew once it fades. And then Chanimal and Wealthy Man can start really ripping in. We're at 22% dampening at this point in the game. It's going to be difficult for Gorecki to really heal through the damage that Wealthy Man and Chanimal have available, whereas for Super Frogs, they still have so much control in their favor, they can really limit the damage output the boys have available.
All right, let's see what they can get done. Man is basically even at this point with dampening ramping up to critical mass. Infernals have ran for Chanimal. He's ready to go. He's got Dark Soul and Icy Veins comboed together. Big Chaos Bolt straight to Chun-Li. Fuse Magic denies the follow-up damage for now. Way of the Crane, this is the push. This is what Gorecki has been waiting for. Can they disrupt the crowd control onto his Way of the Crane? No, Polymorph lands. Way of the Crane gets shut down. Thugonomics, though, looks to ramp up. He gets nether warded by Chanimal on that Chaos Bolt. Good reaction. Thugonomics is still continuing to ramp, though. Now popping the Dark Soul. These Chaos Bolts are huge. He's got nether ward up. They cannot be stopped. One Chaos Bolt connects. Not able to find the second, but they do manage to pull Unending Resolve from Chanimal, and he continues to fall behind. Perhaps the boys have opportunity here to kill Chanimal.
Yeah, definitely Chanimal. Vulnerable target right now in midfield. Can't really get away. Of course, Destruction Warlock's armor was a little bit nerfed from that demon skin change in the last patch, so Chanimal definitely going to be a little bit more vulnerable to Chun-Li, but it still just doesn't seem like Chun-Li has the damage right now to get much done against Chanimal. Wealthy Man just spamming out Frostbolts, looking to reload that Frost Mage damage. Gorecki moves in, lands full leg sweep. What is Chun-Li gonna do? He gets bashed into a pounce, has to Trinket out, no touch of karma. Chun-Li so vulnerable, gets Vortex back, flailing to survive in midfield. Gorecki luckily has the Life Cocoon as a safety net to keep him alive, but Chun-Li, that was way too aggressive, has to trade out his entire defensive arsenal. Cubsy really punishing him. You can't blame him, he's trying to shut down the drink, but Cubsy easily punishes him with a double stun combo. Now Chun-Li still, he's got to be a little bit scared in this situation.
Yeah, how is he going to get out of it? Gorecki's only got enough mana for a couple more Ways of the Crane, and they've got maybe a little bit of a window of time to get a kill onto Chanimal, but they have to do it 4 times. Likely to be this composition for the rest of the series from the Super Frogs until the boys have a definitive answer. So, moving forward against all odds here, and so difficult even in game number 1, to do it 4 times is basically a feat of strength in this game at the moment. Dampening now at 36%. Gorecki's almost tapped. He's not got many more opportunities left. There's still a minute and 25 to let Unending Resolve to kill Chanimal. Chun-Li gets Mortal Coiled on the Fist of Fury. Chanimal with total shutdown. Goes for a Shadow Fury, gets Spell Locked, then goes for a Chaos Bolt, gets denied. Now Chaos Bolt's flying in from Thugonomics, 2 tagging in with that Gladiator's Maledict. A big push for the boys here, but Iron Bark of Cubsy appears to be more than enough to deflect.
That paralysis onto Cubsy. Chanimal taking some damage as you saw Gorecki use the last little bit of his mana for a Way of the Crane push, but didn't get anything done. And once again, Super Frogs, they have the boys completely pinned up against the pillar. They're out of line of sight. They're trying to avoid damage, but this is not a situation you want to be in. As the boys, the Super Frogs, all their cooldowns are resetting. Look at Chanimal, only 40 seconds left on that Unending Resolve, and once that rotates back up off cooldown, it's going to be really difficult for them to push through that. In the meantime, Chun-Li just getting smoked. Diffuse Magic looking to be enough to run away. Does manage to get behind the pillar, but Ray of Frost still channeling. Chun-Li has to be a little bit careful, but you can't blame him. He's trying to start building some pressure for his team. It's just really difficult.
Yeah, that window of opportunity is going to be lost in 17 seconds from now when Unending Resolve becomes available. Thugonomics in trouble. Cubsy moves in, adding in that Feral Affinity spice. It is not so nice for Thugonomics. He ducks for cover. The entire team pillaring for their lives. Chun-Li as well now caught in center field. Chaos Bolt hits him. Stun connects. He pre-fortified Elixired right before Cubsy opened. That was nice moves by Chun-Li, soaks some hits and stays alive, but the whole team under fire. Huge flurry from Wealthy Man. Thugonomics takes that. 50% dampening incoming. Gorecki's completely tapped on mana. Nether ward from Thugonomics desperately to stabilize, but Unending Resolve exchanged as well. Chaos Bolt trade, but Wealthy Man still got 2 ice blocks. There's no way you're killing him. Chun-Li in center field uses the touch of karma right as Infernals have landed. Maybe an opportunity for Chun-Li to go all in. He says, no way,
Goodbye.
I'm getting out of here, but now Thugonomics is left behind.
Yeah, Thugonomics caught in midfield, all snared up. Just a perfect target for Wealthy Man and Chanimal to take him down. And the boys, this answer does not seem to be good enough. They just cannot generate.
One promises to be absolutely outstanding. You can't be a chicken here when you've already come this far. This is for all of the marbles, first place of an entire region for Cup number 6.
There is no running away from this finale. The last time we will see the Super Frogs and the boys go head-to-head before the Spring International Finals. But after this, we do have a tiebreaker. The winner between Never Lucky and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats to qualify to that Spring Finals as well. So do not want to go anywhere. There is nothing but action-packed Warcraft for some time. Chanimal low on health, Chun-Li equally so, as both teams go all out initially in this game number 2.
And we already see an opening here for Chun-Li. He's going to go and take it. Touch of Karma activated. Touch of Death activated as well. Onto Chanimal. No Iron Bark available. And that could potentially be the unending resolve. Let's see if Wealthy Man can weather the storm. Does it look like he is able to right now with that Icy Veins? Chanimal being very greedy, holding on to this cooldown for now. But it could potentially pay out. That Dark Soul is active as well. So Super Frogs are using a lot of their offense to kind of just stabilize and save a lot of those defensive cooldowns that they have. Very, very nice that they managed to get away without using the unending resolve there.
Yeah, nice trade there in exchange. Super Frogs, although are behind a mana and on hook point, it will be difficult to find opportunities to drink. Good crowd control initiated by Gorecki, but his team is crowd controlled as well, and they can't attack. Chun-Li and Fear, Thugonomics and Polymorph. So even though Cubsy was cycloned, Chun-Li and Thugonomics couldn't attack, so no damage to trade back, and that means the team will be safe. And this is the good teamwork of the Super Frogs as they set up a kill on Chun-Li. Fortified Elixir denies it, but I do really enjoy watching the crowd control coordination of Chanimal and Wealthy Man. Even though this composition almost looks unstoppable, we've only ever really seen them run it. So they run it definitely at the highest caliber, and I'm curious to see how it fares head-to-head with Europe in the spring finals.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, as this is our final cup before the spring land, and both of these teams want to snag a win on that final cup so they can go for that big momentum. And now we see Chun-Li once again activating his Touch of Karma, trying to get the Iron Bark used. Cubsy caught up in a Cyclone. Chanimal deflects with a Fear, gets a Chaos Bolt at the back of that though. It seems to be absorbed by the Touch of Karma. Chanimal using his Reflect as well. Not going to catch the Cyclone. Gorecki manages to fake that out and then get another Cyclone here onto Chanimal. On that Iron Bark cooldown, Cubsy in the mana department is not looking great. And like we mentioned, Druids don't have an easy time drinking on this map. And we see Cubsy now caught up in a Fear. Chanimal in a spell lock. Thugonomics is looking for the big Chaos Bolts here. Not going to be able to find it. Nice counter spell from Wealthy Man.
Cubsy actually gets hibernated, but no real damage to follow it up. Now stunning Cubsy, maybe they attack him. Sets him up for a Fear, but on diminishing return from Thugonomics. Potentially, I see Cubsy as a target for the Windwalker Destruction Warlock on hook point. If they can make a swap, catch him in cat form and burst him down, maybe there is potential there. Chun-Li keeping Cubsy in combat with that Crackling Jade Lightning. It's all about denying drinks. Gorecki looks like he's trying to sneak away for one right now, and Chanimal is trying to chase him down. Not going to be moving too fast on the Warlock, but does deny the drink regardless. Mana lead for the boys. The small map is paying off.
Yeah, and now we see a target swap here onto Wealthy Man. I gotta say, before dampening, I prefer it if the Super Frog, the boys, go after Wealthy Man on the side of the Super Frogs. I think that netting yourself an ice block and just applying more pressure to that mage is definitely gonna be key in terms of burning out Cubsy's mana and also just controlling the pressure. Now we do see Chanimal gonna be caught up in that Mortal Coil into that leg sweep. Cubsy has a lot of work to do. He activates the Innovate, gets Cyclone on it though by Gorecki. Gorecki looking to Cyclone the Trinket. Cubsy though managing to outrange it, but Gorecki's gonna get that low Cyclone onto Chanimal. Gonna pause out his HP for now. That push nets them that Gladiator's Medallion, and now we see another swap onto Wealthy Man. You can see the boys are definitely playing for the mana lead. Gorecki now in stealth looking for Cubsy, going for that Cyclone again. Is it off the R? It's going to be a full Cyclone. This could potentially be an ice block, Sid.
I think it easily could. Ice Barrier absorbing a huge amount of damage and managing to hold out for now, but Gorecki's Restoration Druid is phenomenal. It's leaps and bounds better than his Mistweaver, especially in this matchup, and perhaps him not just locking it in game number one may be the factor that costs them the whole series. He's been getting great crowd control. He is the initiator. He's also got the mana lead. The map is well selected, and things are actually looking solid for the boys overall. Now the question then becomes, what do they do on the larger maps when the Super Frogs lock in that territory? Do we then see Smexen come in on Elemental Shaman? I would like to see that, especially on something like Tolvaron Arena, but on the small map, the boys are owning right now. Gorecki again with 3 Cyclones, rotates over to Chanimal at low health. Cubsy's now got to time his heals after that. Gorecki gets counterspelled though. Could be an opening for Wealthy Man to bounce back. Chanimal leaves the Cyclone. Mortal Coil, huge heal from that. Chanimal recovers and stays in it. Gorecki now Cyclone, and Chun-Li could be in trouble.
Yeah, and that was actually a Cyclone onto Chanimal, onto Chun-Li's Touch of Death. A little bit preemptive on that one, but it's looking bad for the Super Frogs overall. Cubsy is running very, very low on mana. We see Chanimal again tanking another Dark Soul Chaos Bolt to the face. Wealthy Man, though, looking to deflect here with his Icy Veins. Gorecki just chasing Cubsy around, looking for that rake stun. He's gonna go for the Cyclone as well at the back of that. He manages to land it. Nice fear into Paralyze on Wealthy Man. And Thugonomics is teeing off big time here onto Chanimal, who's caught up in that bash stun as well. The entire team of Super Frogs is just being stunned up by Gorecki here as we see him caught up in that fear, but they did net themselves an unending resolve here. Super Frogs really don't have much life left here.
No, they do not. Dampening is kicked in. There's a massive mana lead for the side of the boys, and everything is set up for them to win here. Gorecki tries to sneak in a Hibernate. Cubsy was locked in the room with that Ring of Peace into an Ursul's Vortex, into a potential stun. That crowd control chain from the boys right now into Cubsy is so perfect. Cycloned on the Trinket, but I think Iron Bark should be enough with the peels coming out from the Super Frogs. But this is like a completely different team we're seeing from the boys in game number 2, and I almost never want to see Gorecki off of his Druid.
Yeah, and now we see Gorecki getting punished, though. He's going to hold on to that Gladiator's Medallion, and that's another thing that he's so good at. He knows when he can hold on to his cooldowns, and less experienced Druid for sure would have used his Gladiator's Medallion there and actually left an opening for the Super Frogs. Now he's still going to have that, and he's also going to shut down that drink, but we see Thugonomics taking huge amounts of damage.
Oh, the Super Frogs took the battle back. Cubsy catches him in a stun. Cyclones him at low health, denying both the defense of the Unending Resolve and the Iron Bark. Cubsy now battling back, showing that he is also a top contender for the Restoration Druid class in the North American region. Now stunning Gorecki. Thugonomics holds on by a thread. Chanimal going for those Chaos Bolts, gets Mortal Cold away. Thugonomics banishes the Fell Hunter to go for a cast, but Wealthy Man's there to back him up. Thugonomics then abandons that push. Line of sighting some damage while he's interrupted. Good positioning, but Chanimal then follows up with the Infernals. Looking to ramp up here. Where's the Rain of Fire? Needs to be dropping that Rain of Fire soon to continue ramping up these Infernals to get big damage moving forward. Who's going to be the target? We saw Gorecki get blasted earlier on, but he's at the pillar. Chun-Li sees it coming. He knows that Chanimal is ramped up. He's going to touch up Karma before a Chaos Bolt is even attempted to be cast, just to stay alive and stay in the fight. Now Cubsy, though, caught in crowd control, and the boys look to swing back for victory. If they can keep it going, there's no crowd control to follow up. Cubsy gets out. 7 more seconds on his Iron Bark. Should be enough to stabilize. Where's Gorecki? Is he in stealth trying to drink? Mana evens out. It's anyone's game.
Yeah, and this is the win condition we were talking about. Super Frogs can win on mana now that they're not playing against that Mistweaver. There's also an opening onto Chun-Li. I'm going to see Chanimal and Wealthy Man go after Chun-Li and try to take him out before that next touch of Karma is available. And Thugonomics also has his Dark Soul available. He needs to get a big, juicy Chaos Bolt onto Chanimal before that 35-second mark, when that Unending Resolve is going to be available for Chanimal. And now we see Thugonomics caught up in that Mortal Coil Chanimal line of sight, realizing that that's the next big threat. Before that Unending Resolve is up, the Touch of Death will not be available for Chun-Li, as we see Wealthy Man caught up in yet another Cyclone. Cubsy, though, completely tapped. He's gonna look to be paralyzed here, actually, potentially into a Rake Stun, actually a Bash Stun by Gorecki. Can he follow it up with a Cyclone here? We see Thugonomics going for the Chaos Bolt. He lands it onto Wealthy Man. Potentially an Ice Block here, Sid.
All right, let's see if they can get it. The boys try and stay in it. The mana lead is basically lost, and Dark Soul activated. Chanimal will be a force to be reckoned with. Chun-Li, the target. He's trying to retreat away, actually denying the drink. He's caught, though. He's snared up. There's Chaos Bolts flying. One connects. Chun-Li fortified elixirs, gets stunned. He's got Touch of Death. This is it. Chun-Li has to get a kill in 2 more seconds on Chanimal through Iron Bark. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Chanimal gates away, or sorry, Chun-Li gates away, able to line of sight those Gladiator's Maledicts as Super Frogs begin to counterattack. Chun-Li holds on, Gorecki jumps in. They keep needing to deny Cubsy's drinks. They manage to do it. Chun-Li is just not recovering. Dampening is so high. Likely that we see Touch of Karma here shortly. He's holding onto it as long as he can. He would like to exchange it for a cooldown, but there's no cooldowns to exchange it. He barely gets it off right before that Shadow Fury. We now see Cubsy locked down in paralysis. Any crowd control to follow up. A Cyclone. Cubsy trinkets out of that to stay ahead of the damage at this point. Damage is more valuable than healing. You need to stay ahead of it if you want to find victory. Chun-Li is the most vulnerable on the map, and suddenly the Super Frogs have taken this game into their own hands.
Yeah, and now we see the Innervate is really the only line of defense left for the boys. After that, the win condition that we've been talking about is going to start to favor the Super Frogs. They have all of the momentum now. Gorecki is looking for a drink, but they're going to have an easy time shutting that down. Wealthy Man gating forward to shut that down. He gets him out of stealth, and Chanimal going to be very, very safe right now. Might have to activate his Unending Resolve, actually. He might be doing it too late here. He's going to get the Immolate off. Chun-Li, no defense available. Thugonomics caught up in that polymorph, and we're gonna see Chanamal potentially going for a big Chaos Bolt here. Chun-Li for sure the target of choice. The Infernals have landed. This could be it for Chun-Li. Cubsy still with his Innovate available. He's gonna make sure that his entire team is topped off. Wealthy Man though, no ice block.
Wealthy Man with no ice blocks, and Gorecki's jumping into the fight. Ring of Peace bounces Wealthy Man into it. Cubsy gets cycloned. Everything is set up for the boys to find victory in game number 2 as Gorecki could be the final bite to get himself victory. Too much damage and no mana to deal with it. They polymorph up Chun-Li. Gorecki needs to dispel this. He's actually going for maybe a re-stealth. Chun-Li's just trying to end this. How is Wealthy Man staying alive? There's basically nothing left at 36% dampening. Chun-Li should just go all in for the kill. There's nothing left. Iron Bark in 6. He activates it onto Wealthy Man now. That ice barrier, huge absorb. Chun-Li secures crowd control for the team. Thugonomics just wants to get a Chaos Bolt off at any moment. Infernals in 2. If he can get those Infernals down with Touch of Death, there's absolutely no way that Wealthy Man will survive. Chun-Li rolls over. He's on Polymorph Diminishing Return. Now on Fear Diminishing Return. There's no crowd control for Chun-Li. If he can get onto Wealthy Man, he Ring of Pieces Wealthy Man out into open, but Chun-Li then gets stunned. Chaos Bolts are flying in. They've got all the cooldowns. Why aren't they just going for it? Why are they going after Chanimal? He has Unending Resolve to trade. The Wealthy Man gets stacked up. Chun-Li moves over. Why are they still not going for it? Cold Snap available. Wealthy Man might be able to survive. Chun-Li needs to make a decision soon. He's waiting far too long. Thugonomics is taking the game into his own hands. Big Chaos Bolt. Gets polymorphed on the second one. Touch of Death could close it out. Unending Resolve and Iron Bark needs to be enough, but at 42% dampening, it simply may not be. There's too much damage with Gorecki adding it into the fight, and boy, I am happy to see Gorecki back on Druid.
Gets defensive here. The boys want to try to take this one, but the Super Frogs have a good composition into him.
Yeah, they have a great answer in this matchup. Thugonomics is most likely going to be the target for the Super Frogs. It's going to be up to Snuts and Wealthy Man to make sure they're rotating through their stops. Snuts is going to be so disruptive on that Assassination Rogue. Gorecki, I hope he's playing the Feral Affinity in this matchup. It could be the little X factor that their team needs in order to get a little bit more damage and pressure rolling early on. Sap on a Chun-Li into a full Cyclone. Good control displayed by the Super Frogs. Thugonomics taking a little bit of burst damage. Where's Snuts, though? Can't reconnect. Finally gets on Thugonomics. He immediately trinkets out. They're looking for massive counter pressure onto Wealthy Man at the early stages of this game.
Yeah, they're trying to get that pressure there, at least try to take away one of those ice blocks. There is a lot that they do need to whittle through, and like Zico said, limited tools to do it, so they want to try to be efficient, get it started as quickly as possible. A decent trade from Cubsy, though, when he does use that Iron Bark, though. Now Wealthy Man is going to be in a little bit of a scary situation, but Cubsy can sit that CC, come out and get the healing going. It's Thugonomics who may have to use that wall early.
Yeah, could be the Unending Resolve. We'll just have to see what Gorecki can get done. Manages to catch a huge heal. Now it's Wealthy Man that's in trouble. Chun-Li moving forward, caught into a polymorph. Good control from Wealthy Man once again, and that's the strategy. Wealthy Man, he controls up the game, spamming polymorphs on Chun-Li. If he can get it on Gorecki, get some Ring of Frost or polymorphs on Gorecki, and that's where Snuts single target damage is really going to pay dividends for the team of Super Frogs. Vendetta's rolling. Thugonomics could be in some trouble.
And there's the push right there with Snuts using that Vendetta, and you can actually see Thugonomics decides to use those offensive abilities to try to basically peel for himself, make it a less desirable trade, but no real pressure going to come out of it. Now Cubsy is going to be caught into the bash, a kick onto Wealthy Man, but Thugonomics is going to be caught into the kidney.
Yeah, and we do see Gorecki come in with a little bit of a late trinket on that blind, and the reason why was because Snuts hadn't committed his Vendetta yet. If you look at the Vendetta cooldown, it's going to be lining up perfectly here, whereas we do see Gorecki caught up in a big Cyclone here, though, taking a lot of damage. Thugonomics trying to hold on to the Unending Resolve, but it might be too late. He's popping it at very, very low HP. Together with that Spell Reflect, he's going to get out some Fierce onto Snuts. That Drain Life, the only thing keeping him alive. Unbelievable greed from the boys, but Thugonomics hangs on.
I don't even have that button bound. I have no idea how he managed to stay alive there.
Yeah, Wealthy Man was forced into his ice block, but Thugonomics, like you said, a little bit of greed, overlapping the Iron Bark with the Unending Resolve and almost falling. That was a surprising amount of damage that the Super Frogs had available. If you look, Wealthy Man, Icy Veins available, that major offensive 3-minute cooldown for the Super Frogs. Here's a full kidney shot. What is Wealthy Man going to be able to do? Spell lock onto Cubsy. He moves forward, gets the bash onto Gorecki. Can he find the polymorph? Wealthy Man gets it. Touch of Death rolling. Wealthy Man could be in a little bit of trouble right now. There's no Iron Bark to reduce the damage. Gladiator Safeguard will proc. Still a lot of pressure on Thugonomics.
This is not great for the Super Frogs. That was a swap on the polymorph from Gorecki to Chun-Li, shutting down their offense completely. Gorecki, though, getting caught up in a cyclone. Cubsy really carrying the offense here. We see the Ice Events activated, huge amounts of damage for Thugonomics, but we do see Gorecki potentially deflecting that one with the Iron Bark. Should be stabilizing for now, as we see Wealthy Man caught up in a fair, and now we see the pressure turning once again over onto Wealthy Man. Chun-Li going to be using that diffuse magic to get out of one of those Frost Novas, the Fist of Fury. Also nice crackling Jade Lightning there onto Cubsy to make sure that he stays in combat. Cubsy was looking to get a restuff there, potentially looking for a drink, and now we see a paralyzed double leg sweep here from Chun-Li, doing everything he can to really slow down the Super Frogs. Gorecki have the mana lead. If they can hold on to the game for a bit longer, they should be able to secure this one, Ben.
And Chun-Li, though, with just such a good sense of everything, of the tide of the game. It was in that last go, really him who was able to stave it off. He was able to make sure that Gorecki had at least enough time to get his Iron Bark back, and also to slow down that onslaught of cooldowns coming in from the side of the Super Frogs. But the Super Frogs going to make sure that they know that the boys are not out of the woods yet. We're going to see constant CC going out onto Gorecki. Finally, Thugonomics going to have his offensive cooldowns now to try to out-aggress if he does need to. Thug, though, going to be caught up, can't do any damage right now, and doesn't have Chun-Li to peel for him.
Uh-oh, full kidney shot, frozen orb. It looks like Thugonomics is going to be in a lot of trouble. Gorecki does manage to catch the Iron Bark in a good position to heal him up. There's no crowd control for the Super Frogs. Unfortunately, the boys stabilize. They're looking to push in. Cubsy responds with his own Iron Bark. Both Druids and both teams can be a little bit vulnerable without the defensive cooldown. Thugonomics has the Dark Soul rolling, looking to get some damage, but it's nuts. On the Assassination Rogue, so disruptive, landing one Interrupt. Does he have a follow-up? Double Mortal Coil going to be thrown out by Thugonomics to free himself up. Lands one Chaos Bolt. On to Wealthy Man, Touch of Death rolling. Chun-Li, what is he going to be able to get done? A second one. This could be the second Ice Block of Wealthy Man in the match. Chun-Li uses the ring piece to bounce Wealthy Man back in his range, getting more damage rolling.
I can't emphasize enough just how well Chun-Li has played so far, and the boys are relatively safe for quite a bit of time here, barring some crazy shenanigans out of the Super Frogs. The Super Frogs need to basically outlive another go. We're going to see those cooldowns coming in right now. Wealthy Man still does have that one block to rely on.
Yeah, now we see Cubsy caught up in that cycle. I'm going to trinket out of it and they activate the Iron Bark onto Wealthy Man. Wealthy Man should be stable for now. Thugonomics, though, has his Unending Resolve available, and it's going to be that next bash onto Gorecki that really should set the Super Frogs up for a drink. I want to see them look for it as soon as possible. Cubsy goes for the restuff. Chun-Li, though, on top of it, and now we see the pressure turning. Wealthy Man looking for the polymorph on Chun-Li. Cubsy looking for the bash. Nice leg sweep onto Cubsy, trying to do a swap here, but Wealthy Man reads it with a beautiful polymorph. Now we see the spell lock secured onto Gorecki. Line of sighting Cubsy, getting that restuff off, and he's going to go ahead and dodge, and there is the bash. This is the moment. We see Wealthy Man goes for the poly, gets into, oh, he actually lands it. Now I want to see Cubsy actually sneak away with this push and try to find a drink. Not going to be able to look for it right now. He's going to stay and go for that cyclone instead, trying to take Thugonomics down through the Unending Resolve. Will we be able to do it, Ben?
I don't know. Now a Cyclone coming in from Cubsy to freeze any healing that Gorecki might have had. Gorecki with a beautiful bash shuts down some of that crowd control. Now kidney shot extends the CC for Super Frogs. Thugonomics still super vulnerable. Wealthy Man, the final nail in the coffin with that Gladiator's Maledict with a nice flurry.
Or if the boys are going to be able to tie this one up 2-2.
All right, let's see if they can do it. Can the boys manage to pull this back and tie it up 2-2? It's a best-of-7 grand final. It's the last time that we will see these two Titans in North America go head-to-head before the spring finals, where they will then meet Europe and decide who is better, North America or Europe, later this year. And then after this series, we still have a tiebreaker. We've still got the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. We've still got Jamili going up against his grudge match, his rivalry with Colo on the team of Never Lucky. Their team had 2 shots at qualifying. They didn't make either. They've got 1 more left, but 3 strikes, you're out. Mew Mew Kitty Cats later on after this series. Right now on Blade's Edge Arena, there are not many places to hide, and with Destruction Warlocks on both sides, this could go either way.
Yeah, definitely could. Like I said, there is not a lot of room to run and hide on this map. However, there's also not a lot of room for Wealthy Man to kite Chun-Li. He's not going to be able to create too much distance. If Wealthy Man is pushing in, trying to get crowd control onto Gorecki, look at Thugonomics. He's in a great position. There's no line of sight for Wealthy Man. He's just going to eat Chaos Bolt after Chaos Bolt. The same is true for Chun-Li. Chanimal might be able to get a lot of pressure out on this map onto Chun-Li. And I'm actually very curious to see if either one of these Druids is ever going to be able to sneak away for a drink. Paralysis into Bash. Good setup here from the boys. Looking to get really aggressive on Chanimal. He could be in some trouble. Thugonomics finds the fear on Wealthy Man. Chanimal all by himself at this point in the game. Does manage to survive off the back of that unending resolve, but a big cooldown used by Super Frogs.
Big cooldowns used by the Super Frogs. Can they stay alive later into this fight? Touch of Death and Infernals available for the side of the boys. They combo those together. Chanimal could get chopped through Iron Bark even at this point in the match, and I am curious to see if they can set it up. Everything is built for this moment. Is Gorecki going to be the X Factor is also a question. Infernals have landed. Thugonomics, he's popping that unending resolve. He's casting Chaos Bolts, and you're not stopping him unless you Nether Ward. Chanimal just says, no way, Thugonomics, you're getting over eager. Nether Wards a Chaos Bolt back into his face, and now Thugonomics has overextended his defensive lineup.
I just love how excited you got there, and Chanimal was like, nope, no way. Nether Ward straight back to Thugonomics. Thugonomics activated his Nether Ward, and Chanimal ran out of line of sight. A little bit of an outplay there for Chanimal. Now a fear on the Thugonomics. Gorecki getting swatted away by Wealthy Man as he moves towards midfield. Chaos Bolt lands, Frostbolt as well. Chun-Li rolls off the side of the map, looking to keep Cubsy in combat. You can see Chun-Li, he's placed his Transcendence in the midfield, and it's a good place for it to be. At any point, he can just jump off the side of the bridge, and he can escape to safety. If Wealthy Man and Chanimal, they decide to chase, guess what? Chun-Li uses Transcendence, gets back up on the bridge, and Wealthy Man and Chanimal have to march all the way around up on top of the bridge in order to get back in line of sight and start casting some spells. So that's one of the benefits for the boys on this map. Chun-Li is going to be much more of a stable target with the ability to really use that Z-axis.
All right, let's see what they can get done here with no unending resolve on either side. That's an opening, but Cubsy's mana, that is not a healthy amount comparatively to Gorecki, and I just love watching Gorecki on this Druid. I'm very interested to see how he fares in the European scene, but as far as the European scene, Looney, he's equally good on Druid, potentially maybe not as talented with the Feral affinity, but his ability to play Mistweaver Monk is going to be really an X factor overall when we do get to the spring finals. Right now the boys are developing a massive lead as would be expected with their map selection and comp advantage. Chanimal gets denied on the Innervate heals of Cubsy. Gorecki once again dealing devastation with both control and mana management and healing output, allowing his team to also just blunder away their unending resolve with no punish whatsoever.
Yep, we'll have to see what exactly happens. Like we kind of talked about, Thugonomics is going to be relatively stable in this matchup until a little bit later on in dampening, where some of the self-healing of that Destruction Warlock really is limited. Cubsy now repositioning into the starting area, looking for a reset on his mana. If he can sit down and drink, that's good. Like we said, Super Frogs, they were way behind at this point in the game. It's a bit of a disaster for the boys to just allow him to reset his mana completely. Chun-Li's trying to shut it down, manages to do so. Cubsy did sit down for a little bit of a drink, but still a massive lead in this matchup for Gorecki. Now some pressure on Thugonomics. Good control coming in from Wealthy Man. What are Super Frogs going to be able to do? We have seen in the past, Thugonomics is the main kill target for their team. Later on in dampening, he's just such a susceptible target to being snared out in midfield and getting bursted down.
Wealthy Man at half health and interrupted, can't access Ice Block, and he's in midfield. Thugonomics gets shut down though by Chanimal. Good backup, good teamwork between Chanimal and Wealthy Man to assist each other when they are in trouble. Cubsy managed to reset his mana just as Dampening entered the fight, a complete reset for their team and giving them another opportunity to potentially move to match point, even though the boys have effectively crafted what they would like to consider a counter. It's not entirely so. The Super Frogs can definitely pull off victory, so the pressure is on. The momentum is building. Gorecki is trying to sneak away and drink underneath the bridge, or maybe just re-stealth, not able to find it. Bash the Chanimal instead for Chun-Li to dish out some extra damage. Really trying hard to get an Iron Bark with this attempt. They do manage to get it from Cubsy. One defensive cooldown off that grocery list. The next big push will be for that unending resolve, and I'm curious if Chun-Li and Thugonomics are going to split up their Infernals and Touch of Death. If they commit them at the same time, Chanimal can get a 2-for-1 exchange on his unending resolve. If they split them up, they could then potentially force it and then kill with the other later on. So you're curious to see how the boys manage their offensive cooldowns at this moment in time. Cubsy actually has a mana lead, and suddenly the Super Frogs are developing an advantage.
Yeah, Super Frogs are looking good in this matchup so far, but Boy's not doing too bad. Gurecki a little bit behind on mana, but still, there's a huge capability for an all-in push. Chanimal caught in midfield, Thugonomics as well. Wealthy Man just teeing off on him, spamming Frostbolt after Frostbolt. Big flurry, Thugonomics forced to use the unending resolve. Gurecki was getting really aggressive, and I like the fact that Wealthy Man decided, you know what, you're gonna get aggressive. I'm gonna use my Icy Veins. I'm gonna try to start pulling out some cooldowns, and it worked out well for them. Thugonomics now down, no Nether Ward, no Trinket, no anything really. Polymorph on a Gurecki. Thugonomics still in a little bit of trouble. Chun-Li looking to deny. Beautiful Ring of Peace knocks Chanimal off the side of the bridge. Look at this little waddling Warlock trying desperately to get in range of Thugonomics. Finally, Chanimal back into the fight. Can get some damage rolling, but heads up play by Chun-Li keeps his team in the fight.
That little waddling Warlock might be little now, but with Dark Soul in another minute, these Chaos Bolts will be gigantic. Who will connect it here as dampening continues to mount higher and higher, reducing the incoming healing, and inevitably will close the fight out. A swap to Wealthy Man. Thugonomics lines up a huge hit. Wealthy Man has to ice block. Fortunately, no overlap on the side of Cubsy, but in the meantime, Gurecki gets a Cyclone. And now potentially Wealthy Man in trouble as that ice block's defense will fade. Thugonomics sets up another Chaos Bolt. That's flying forward. Cubsy needs to deny that with some heals, but Chun-Li's on top of him. Interrupts his heal. Chanimal gets hit as well. Good crowd control from Chun-Li. Fists of Fury flying. Desperately trying to force an unending resolve. Ring of Peace knocks Chanimal, but not too far off the side. Cubsy in position to heal him, but did push forward, potentially exposing himself to fear from Thugonomics. Not close enough. Cubsy repositions back. Now the mana hugely in favor of the Super Frogs. At one point in time, Gurecki was full and Cubsy was almost out of mana, but Cubsy's got good presence of mind, although they've had to trade ice blocks to find it, and maybe have to trade the final one. Wealthy Man's down at half health. Can they get enough damage out? The fears are fading on Thugonomics shortly. He's likely lined up for a Chaos Bolt if he can find it. Gurecki, a little bit peculiar bark skin on his part. I guess he was pushing forward aggressively and just wanted to have that up in case they swapped to him. But it does open an opportunity maybe to switch to him again. Cubsy now with that Feral Affinity trying to set up some stuns on Chun-Li. Not going to be getting anything really off the back of it. Chun-Li's held on to Touch of Death. See what he can get.
Look at this poor Windwalker monk just getting polymorph into polymorph into polymorph into stun into fear into root. And that's the problem. When you see Thugonomics run away, when you see Gurecki run away, Chun-Li gets left behind. He gets crowd controlled too easily. Big burst setup here. Thugonomics on the top side of the bridge, moving forward, gets a double Mortal Coil, looking for a fear onto Cubsy, finds it. Chanimal vulnerable. What is he gonna do? Uses the Nether Wart to reflect the Chaos Bolt. Gets interrupted by Chun-Li. Wealthy Man backs him up with a good polymorph onto Chun-Li. Chanimal stabilizing. Now Thugonomics could be the one that's in trouble. Frozen Orb gets dropped down. One Gladiator's Maledict lands. A second from Cubsy. Gurecki's going to have to play catch-up. I don't know what his mana's looking like right now, and it's not looking too good. 25% dampening. Thugonomics is just such an exposed target.
All right, Thugonomics, 7 seconds away. Gurecki's almost out of mana. This is your map pick. This is your comp advantage. If they lose here, yeah, I really think there's almost no hope for them to win the series. Super Frogs will continue to advance their lead in points in the North American region. Almost securing a spot at the World Finals off points alone, moving into the summer season. Chun-Li just can't connect, crowd controlled away. Gurecki, what's he trying to do? He got a drink, I do believe. He's now got a decent amount of mana moving forward at 30% dampening, imminent. Gurecki restells, stuns up Thugonomics. Big damage. Now Chanimal gets stunned up. Damage on both sides. Infernals have landed for Thugonomics as he pulls the trigger first. Chanimal respects that damage on ending resolve, but then gets cycloned on it. Thugonomics is still low. Chanimal now has his call Infernal in 1 second. See if he decides to call those in right away. He does. Both Destruction Warlocks going toe-to-toe to decide whose Chaos Bolt is bigger.
Yep, they don't call them Destruction Warlocks for nothing. Chanimal landing a full fear on the Gurecki as they are pushing forward. 31% dampening. Wealthy Man trying to create some pressure for his team. Did use his Icy Veins, but Thugonomics did manage to hold on to his unending resolve.
Who's got the biggest Chaos Bolt? Is it Thugonomics or is it Chanimal? Gurecki.
Wealthy Man in trouble. It may not even be a case between Thugonomics and Chanimal, as Wealthy Man is likely to be the target here as Chun-Li is focusing him down. Huge Fist of Fury pressure. Chanimal sets up, goes for the Chaos Bolt. Chun-Li Touch of Karma, so Chanimal stops his cast. Does not want to add to the redirected pressure, but still, Wealthy Man in trouble. Blinks back up the ramp. Gladiator's Maledicts and Gurecki move in. That added extra feral affinity damage may be enough. Greki's tearing in. Wealthy Man gates to safety in midfield with Chanimal and Cubsy. Managed to hold on to that precious ice block a little bit longer.
Yep, Chun-Li now caught into a stun with no trinket available. Could be a little bit of an exposed target. Wealthy Man still trying to generate some pressure for his team. The boys falling apart a little bit in this specific moment in time. Good pressure, but Wealthy Man with only one ice block left, getting bursted down. Thugonomics, does he have any damage? Chun-Li trying to just solo him in this instant, but Wealthy Man blinks away back to the safety of his restoration druid. Now Cubsy should be able to find a Cyclone onto Chun-Li. Chanimal potentially looking for some damage, finds a big Chaos Bolt onto Chun-Li. Fortifying Brew gonna be traded out. Chun-Li ultimately will survive, but he is running out of cooldowns and running out of time.
Yeah, it's not looking too good here for Chun-Li on his map pick and the comp advantage. If they lose here, Super Frogs advance to match point and likely take the rest of the series. The boys need to get some work done. It's all up to Gorecki. Can he carry the team with this feral affinity? Can he add some extra damage, some extra crowd control, and some extra meow to find perfect victory? Gorecki gets stunned up. No crowd control to follow that up, unfortunately. Now trinketing out. Touch of death from Chun-Li. This push has to net a kill. Chanimal Nether Ward, Thugonomics, Chaos Bolt. Mortal Coils Chun-Li away. Escapes to safety at the top of the ramp. Just in time for Cubsy to leave crowd control. MVP Chanimal.
Yeah, Chun-Li, though, with Touch of Karma, he can get aggressive. Gets caught into the rake stun. He's going to be looking to close this game out and take down Chanimal. What is Chanimal going to do? Wealthy Man trying to get some control of the situation, trying to get some counter pressure onto Chun-Li. Chun-Li now super vulnerable of a target, looking for a Fist of Fury. Thugonomics looking to back him up with a big Chaos Bolt landing onto Chanimal. Ironbark looking to reduce some of that incoming damage, but a beautiful Ring of Peace once again, forcing Chanimal on the bottom side of the bridge. Chun-Li, though, still not topped off, and Gorecki's caught into a full fear.
All right, let's see what Chun-Li can do. Evasive maneuvers, manages to escape to safety off the side. Mana now almost tapped for Cubsy. Suddenly the mana in favor of the boys. Perhaps they can take game number 4 and tie it all up. Bring us to a game 5 in the best of 7 grand finals. Whoa. Suddenly gets blasted in midfield by Wealthy Man and Chanimal. A tag team effort and a KO for the Super Frogs. They move to match point.
Entirety of this series.
Very curious to see if they can just 4-1 the boys, asserting dominance in the North American region and claiming first place finish going into the spring finals. Of course, after this game, assuming that the Super Frogs win here, we will see the team of Never Lucky go against the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. This is Colo against Jamili to qualify to the spring finals to be the 4th and final spot to go to the spring finals. So even after this series, you do not want to go anywhere because we still have business to settle other than trying to sling pies.
What?
I don't know, it was a bakery joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're not slinging pies right now. We're casting World of Warcraft Arena.
Nico's slinging pies over there.
What? No.
Whoa! Thugonomics getting bursted down. Big Chaos Bolt landing from Chanimal. We saw what Chanimal was able to get done against Colo yesterday with some huge Chaos Bolts of his own. So no one can be sleeping on Chanimal in this particular match. At any moment, he could end the game. Definitely scary for the boys in this particular matchup. But once again, matchup kind of comes down to mana on both teams. Either deep dampening, where the Warlocks become really susceptible, or one of the Restoration Druids eventually runs out of mana. So sneaking away for drinks is going to be ultra important for Gorecki and Cubsy.
Touch of death to nice Chun-Li's big push. Now, oh, maybe not. Wealthy Man gets hit hard. Thugonomics has to exchange his unending resolve. Even still with that, dipping low. Double Mortal Coil, though, now denies it. He's cycloned. He can't be healed by Gorecki. Cooldown's blown on both fronts, but I do think Elite is establishing itself fourth. The Super Frogs here as Cubsy can sneak away and drink, as Zico was saying in the pregame with his composition. There's much more pressure in their team's favor, so Cubsy can more easily sneak away from the fight, and if the enemy team chases him, they get blasted by Chaos Bolts and Frost Bolts, so it's not too easy to stop Cubsy from drinking. Thugonomics at half health, but Gorecki denies the kill with Iron Bark. Cubsy gets cycloned, I do believe, by Gorecki. Interesting that Nether Ward was actually dropped by Thugonomics. I'm bit curious as to what honor talent Thugonomics is running instead of that. I would have expected that it was pretty standard. Maybe it was being nether or spell stolen too frequently by Wealthy Man, so he doesn't want to give it to him in a Kleptomania spell steal, but it's not typical we see the Nether Ward dropped on the Destruction Warlock in a Wizard War.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I wonder what honor talent he decided to pick up, as you would think the defense from that ability would just be really good. You can use it to reflect the Gladiator's Maledicts, you can use it to reflect Chaos Bolts, just overall super solid, but unfortunately Thugonomics is not going to be running that. Now full bash onto Gorecki. What is Cubsy going to be able to get done? Finds the full Cyclone, but there's just not too much pressure onto Chun-Li and Thugonomics in this particular moment in time. Right now, Super Frogs, they're up in the series 3-1. This is a best of 7, so if Super Frogs can win this game, they will win this series and win the tournament, which is going to be huge for them. Right now, they are the #1 point-earning team in North America with a commanding lead over basically everyone else. The boys in a solid 2nd place, but for the boys, if they could somehow come back, win the next 3 games in a row, it would be huge for their point standings overall.
What's interesting with the Super Frogs is that they were struggling a bit with Mew Mew Kitty Cats earlier in the day, early in the tournament, with that Rogue Mage. And they actually face ABC, which is a Rogue Mage main, in the first round of the Spring Finals. So I'm curious if Super Frogs are going to polish up their Demon Hunter Death Knight to try and deal with that. And if that ends up being the case, it could be a Demon Hunter Death Knight mirror between ABC and the Super Frogs. All of the teams need to prepare as many compositions as possible moving forward to that Spring Finals. Whoever is the most limited, I would guess, is likely the most likely to lose. We do see Grecky and Cubsy both actually sneaking away, and neither team is going to stop it. It's like a clean reset on both sides. A bit surprising to see that advantage dropped by both sides.
Yep. Both Druids going straight to full mana, but like we kind of said, dampening meter doesn't really reset. We're almost at that point where dampening is going to start kicking in, reducing the incoming healing. Nice ring of peace there by Chun-Li, knocking Chanimal off. Chun-Li's been on point in this series so far with his ring of peace. Really control up Chanimal, knocking him out of line of sight, really avoiding some of the damage and control that he has. Chun-Li now turning his attention over on Chanimal, trying to get some damage rolling. Is he going to be able to get anything done? Chanimal finding a nice little Chaos Bolt on Chun-Li. Chun-Li could be in trouble, actually trading out his Touch of Karma. I'm a bit curious as to why. I guess he's not too afraid of dying in this matchup just yet, but that was kind of a waste of that defensive cooldown.
All right, major defensive cooldown blown out of the way for Chun-Li. Getting blasted by Chanimal. Jumping off the side, ducking for cover. Flying Serpent kick back to Grecky, should be okay. Thugonomics at the pillar as well. Good defensive posture for the boys here. They're on match point. They can't afford to throw it away. They will just be knocked out of the tournament in 2nd place if they lose this game here. They need to win 3 in a row. The comeback train, but I'm not sure if they've been punched a ticket yet for that train. Dampening has entered. Man, a lead for the Super Frogs, and that is not spelling too good for the boys as Grecky tries to sneak away, maybe? He's playing on the outskirts of that box. I'm curious if anyone on the side of the Super Frogs looks to deny. Instead, Grecky jumps in, but was denied on his stealth, so he did not get the bonus stun on his rake from being in Prowl. Chanimal now stunned by Chun-Li. Grecky gets jumped on. They're swapping to Grecky, trying to punish that Feral Affinity. Huge damage follows that up. Tons of pressure. Grecky's just gonna go down. He gets blasted. He shadow melt. What? He stayed alive as a result of that shadow melt. Very close call. Finally, we see Grecky punished a bit for his Feral Affinity play. He's very cheeky. He's casting Entangling Roots at 30% in their face. Grecky is total disrespect.
Yeah, they want to get the first ice block from Wealthy Man. What greedy plays from Gorecki, but ultimately he will end up surviving in this match. Shadow Meld and the Gladiator Safeguard Trinket going to be enough to keep him alive, which is really, really nice for the boys. They are on match point right now. That would have been disastrous. I want to see more attempts like that from the Super Frogs. Really try to punish Gorecki from making these really aggressive pushes in this matchup. Wealthy Man looking for a polymorph, gets denied by Thugonomics. The positioning, Chanimal, he's overextended right now. Thugonomics just serving him up some Chaos Bolts. Chanimal forced to use that any resolve, looking for a Shadow Fury, manages to shut down some damage, but now Mortal Coil from Thugonomics. He's continuing the assault, but gets interrupted and shut down. Once again, Thugonomics going to be positioning behind the pillar.
What tastes better, a Greater Pyroblast pie or a Chaos Bolt pie?
I mean, it really depends. What do you season the Chaos Bolt with? If you're seasoning it with Demons and Dark Souls, then that's definitely a delicious Chaos Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, the Greater Pyro pie is just burnt, isn't it? Like,
Okay.
it's probably just burnt.
All right, I hear that I'm needed. The way that it works, a Chaos Bolt is, oh my god, my voice, they don't want you to know. The way that it works, a Chaos Bolt is like, it's like a European pie. You ever have the shepherd's pie and the big meaty, beefy, saucy,
Demons.
spicy. That's like a pie. Like it's like how Healing Stat would talk about a pie. It's like, oh, let's get a quick pie. And it's like probably got mushy peas in it and stuff like that. That's like what Adrian would
Drizzled
refer
in
to as a pie.
ketchup.
Then when you look at a G pie, now that's Thanksgiving Day pie right there. I'm not talking about that pecan stuff. I'm talking about pumpkin pie.
All right. Well, that was an interesting description.
Descriptive imagery there.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Dampening is ramping, 17% right now. Thugonomic's going to receive some pressure.
All right, Grecky denies the kill with Iron Bark. Cubsy, how much mana did you end up getting full? That's bad. Wealthy Man, though, gets interrupted. Chun-Li leads the charge. They need to get a kill with this. They're so far behind on mana. Wealthy Man not going to give them that. Ice Block denies the kill. Fair trade for a full mana bar.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair trade. Wealthy Man still looking healthy with one Ice Block available. 20% dampening at this point in the game. What are the boys going to do? Gorecki's almost out of mana. Cubsy pushing in, looking for crowd control. Thugonomics denies it, but Chun-Li caught all alone behind Chanimal. Wealthy Man really looking to punish. This is the touch of death, but there's just too much control on Chun-Li. Finally, a double leg sweep lands. Good pressure now on Wealthy Man. He gets Vortex back on his blink. This could be the second Ice Block. Oh! Back of a beautiful interrupt from Thugonomics. That was a great offensive push, but now Chun-Li could be in some trouble. He's going to get out of line of sight. Chanimal, can he find the damage? There's a rake stun. Chun-Li portals out of line of sight. Beautiful transcendence. Gorecki doing everything in his power to stay in the game. Cubsy with a nice rake stun of his own onto Gorecki, looking for a cyclone. Chun-Li shuts it down. Now Thugonomics, he's been left behind. Great offensive push by the Super Frogs, but Wealthy Man is really vulnerable. Beautiful play on Cubsy's part, but no kill will be netted. Now Thugonomics in trouble. They're on match point. If he goes down, they're out of this, and we will see a grudge match between Never Lucky and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Thugonomics goes for the unending resolve, his last line of defense. He barely holds on. Wealthy Man trying to snipe him and just close the series out. Mortal Coil denies the kill for now. Chun-Li crowd controls Wealthy Man. Cubsy now in a bash. Chanimal low on health. Thugonomics goes for the Chaos Bolt. Tries to fake cast the Nether Ward, but it's not actually available. Thugonomics wraps around the corner. Gorecki stuns up Chanimal. Thugonomics switches targets. Wealthy Man with no ice blocks. One Chaos Bolt. Thugonomics gets denied on the second. Chun-Li now needs to be careful. He's got no defense. He portals, but he portals to the opposite boxes. His team, Thugonomics and Gorecki, they're up across the map, and they've got a Warlock and a Mage in between them. Chun-Li charges in. Cubsy catches him. Gorecki needs to hold on for dear life at this point. Iron Bark needs to be enough. Chun-Li holds on with that. He's trying to push forward with that added defense, but even still with it, he's just crumbling. Yeah, but now Chun-Li has diffused magic and touch of karma, rolling back up, and Super Frogs can't believe it. Chanimal traded out his unending resolve to get aggressive there. They don't take down Chun-Li. Now he's just so vulnerable. You can see Wealthy Man, he's really low as well with no ice block available for another 3 minutes. Cubsy looking to deny that opportunity with his Iron Bark. Wealthy Man now going to be sitting pretty. 33% dampening. Both these druids are going to start struggling. Gorecki sitting down, potentially for a drink. Is he going straight to full mana? Has he left Thugonomics behind for too long? These are the questions that need answering. Chanimal getting lower. Tries to get out of line of sight. Thugonomics caught in midfield. He gates away. Out of line of sight. Gorecki looking to top him off, but both these druids are going to start struggling. The boys continue to battle to get a next episode and stay in the tournament, but Chun-Li gets caught in a bash. One Chaos Bolt for Chanimal. Gladiator's Maledicts likely to close it out. Diffuse magic on -1%. How are you alive, Chun-Li? Rolling into the wall to try and get back to Gorecki. 1%. Tournament life on the line. Catches a Vivify. Now they left Thugonomics behind. He's getting owned by Cubsy. Cubsy's just going to kill. Nope, now he gets feared away. Gorecki reconvenes, has to heal 2 members of the team, so low on health. A critical mass and dampening. Mana still in favor of the Super Frogs. Momentum in favor of the Super Frogs. This tournament looking like to be the Super Frogs as Cubsy sets up for the kill. Stun into clone. No trinket. Chun-Li holding on to dear life. Thugonomics retreating back around the corner, but they're separated. Gorecki jumps to Chanimal to get back to Chun-Li. Thugonomics launches a Chaos Bolt at Cubsy in desperation to make something happen for his team, but that's not going to do anything. Now Thugonomics is left behind, and Gorecki and Chun-Li have to cross the battlefield once again, but I don't think they're going to make it. Gorecki jumps over, but Wealthy Man's all over him. Wealthy Man gets Mortal Coiled away. Chun-Li's now in midfield. He's trying to get back to the pillar. Wealthy Man blinks in with no ice blocks. Potentially an overextension. Potentially a punish for the boys. Infernals have landed from Chanimal. That's now a big threat. They can't push forward. They can't punish. If they go out in the open, Chanimal will tear them to pieces. Yeah, but look, Wealthy Man has an ice block rotating back up in 30 seconds. Cold Snap in another 60. That's going to be 2 ice blocks for Wealthy Man. The boys, they have to try to make an offensive push at this point in the game because Super Frogs, they just have so much rotating back up. Thugonomics is such a vulnerable target, still hiding behind the pillar. Big damage on Wealthy Man. Look at Gorecki. Chun-Li looking to close out the game. Gorecki in trouble now. Chanimal lands a huge Chaos Bolt. Gorecki gets out of line of sight, keeping himself alive. 45% dampening. Touch of death rolling onto Wealthy Man. 6 seconds left on his ice block. Is he going to be able to hold on? Looks like he will. Cubsy ultimately Just heal him up. Chun-Li looking to find some damage. Thuganomics still rotting down low. Rureki almost completely out of mana.
He's got an ice block. They got all the momentum. Just need a bit more damage. Wealthy Man pins down Chun-Li into Polymorph. Thuganomics goes for Chaos Bolts. One's flying through the air straight at Wealthy Man with the stun, added extra damage. Ursul's Vortex as well. This has to be an ice block. Wealthy Man ducks for cover. He jukes Chun-Li with the Ursul's Vortex, pulling him back upstairs. Chun-Li reconnects. He's going to pop that Earth, Wind, and Fire, gets Frost Nova'd on it. Great reaction from Wealthy Man, stalling out some of the cooldown damage. Chun-Li's trying to push him over. Infernals for Thuganomics. Can he get a Chaos Bolt? Wealthy Man has 2 ice blocks now. Cubsy sitting down for a drink? Nope, didn't get any mana. Koreki, where are you on the map right now in cap form? Are you sneaking away and drinking to full mana? Because if you are, that might carry the team. Cubsy is. Koreki didn't. No cooldowns left. Cubsy going back to full mana. Chun-Li stuck in midfield. Likely having a bit of a difficulty. Looks like he's back. Flying around the map, but at least he's back. Cubsy has half mana though. There's still 1 more ice block in the tank. The boys are on match point. 52% dampening and mounting.
Yeah, Chun-Li, unfortunately, in that exchange, had to trade out his Diffuse Magic and his Touch of Karma. Now just so vulnerable. Koreki with almost no mana does sit down a little bit. Cubsy also, in the meantime, sat down, got some mana back. 54% dampening. What are they going to do? Icy Veins being used. Chun-Li so vulnerable. Transcendence behind the pillar. Chanimal in a good position to fear him away. But a beautiful Ring of Peace. Thuganomics low as well. Chun-Li has to make an offensive push. He needs to try to get an ice block. Wealthy Man already traded 1 out. Thuganomics gets interrupted. This is looking really good for the Super Frogs as all 3 members of the boys retreat behind the pillar once again.
Anyone can die at any moment on the boys here. The Super Frogs have total control of the fight and likely to take this. But afterwards, we'll have the Mew Mew Kitty Cats against Never Lucky to decide the 4th team in North America to go to the spring final. So you do not want to go anywhere. This is not the last series of the day. We still have a tie to break. Huge Chaos Bolt. Thuganomics ducks for corner. Tries to stay alive. Now comes back up without any result, but gets stunned on it. Cubsy's been doing a great job with Feral Affinity towards the end of this match. Definitely stepping up his game, carrying the team. Thuganomics is barely holding on. Koreki has no mana left. Absolutely no mana left. Thuganomics gets connected by a Frost Bolt. 1 flurry proc from Wealthy Man could close this game out. Wealthy Man gets counter pressured. Chaos Bolt, it's in the sky. He blocks it, denies the kill. Infernals from Chanimal. Chanimal is the scariest warlock in this arena right now. Dark Soul and Infernals. If they can connect this Chaos Bolt on Thuganomics, he will not survive. Kona Cold, he gates, but he gates into midfield. It looks like Cubsy is going to be the one that tears in for the kill. Cubsy stepping up for his team here in this final match, and they take the tournament as a result.
Super Frogs gonna be the starting to get their synergy going as a team. They just got Rosita Jones, which opens them up to so many more compositions. You give these teams a month, maybe they can just be up there at the same level as some of our top teams in North America. The gates are now open. This is going to be a best of 5. Same rules do apply. Blind pick on the Grand Arena to start it off.
First global cooldown. Jamili just popping his Icy Veins, wanting to get aggressive. I'm just not sure he's going to be able to get too much done. He did get a full sheep onto Colo, trying to get some damage rolling. And this is nice. M2KC finally bringing in a composition I think they can win with against this Demon Hunter Death Knight pesky business that they've been running into today over and over and over. Never Lucky. They've been taking a page from the Super Frogs, bringing in Colo on the Restoration Shaman, Valito on that Death Knight, and Zach on the Demon Hunter. It's a really durable setup. Once again, going to be looking for mana rifts. Are they going to be able to play the composition at the same level we saw Super Frogs just a little bit earlier? I'm going to imagine that they can. So N2KC, although with a good composition, could still be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and a lot of eyes are going to be put on Zach here. He's going to need a big performance in this matchup to really secure them the win. We saw Snuts on the Demon Hunter being able to perform for his team earlier on when the Super Frogs fought off against M2KC, and now we're going to see similar strategies used. We're going to see Valito and Zach putting up a lot of pressure onto Rosita Jones. We're going to see crowd control over to Colo and Zach, and we're going to see Rubcub potentially getting mana burnt out of mana before Colo really runs out of mana. So the win condition for Never Lucky is pretty clear. M2KC, they need to deflect. They need to have good cross crowd control, as we see a Spear onto Colo and a Spelllock onto Zach. Jamili looking for a Polymorph onto Valito as well. Nice cross CC. Jamili's going to try to find one now onto Colo. He has an opportunity, as that wind shear was kind of wasted onto Rosita Jones there. And now Zach in trouble, forced to use his reverse magic as well as the blur, actually. A little bit of an overlap there.
Yep, everything on the line for these two teams. whatever team wins this series will be advancing to the spring finals. Keep that in mind. Both of them have been playing out through all 6 cups, putting everything they can into these tournaments, and there is just literally their hopes and dreams. This is what they want to play for, an opportunity to try to qualify for the grand finals later on this year, as well as try to make a big chunk of money at one of these tournaments. So we'll have to see how exactly it plays out. Never Lucky, still in a decent position. Zach hovering around 50% health. He hasn't really been going for too many mana rifts in this situation just yet. Rubcub does get gripped into an asphyxiate. Zach landing a mana rift. Rubcub's mana getting lower and lower. Colo still doing a good job, and we've kind of credited Colo on the Mistweaver Monk before. He was very aggressive with his mana, burning through it quite quickly, but in the last cup, he was able to hold on to that mana for a much longer time, and I think it's going to be really important for him in this match if he wants to hold on to that mana advantage that he is playing a little bit conservative, allowing Valido and Zach enough time to start building up some damage and get the mana rifts rolling onto Rubcub.
Yeah, and Zach and Colo, they need to take turns shutting down Rubcub on those drinks. You can see Rubcub again behind the pillar. He's trying to look for a drink, but that little archer right in front of him is keeping him in combat. And we got Valido with beautiful pet control, as well assisting his teammates in their quest to keep Rubcub around in combat. Now he's going to gate to the other side, rooting up the pet behind the pillar. Rubcub looking for a restealth. Colo, though, dropping his totems behind the pillar, making sure that Rubcub stays in combat with that Earth Grab totem. And every single time Colo crosses the map like this, we need to see Jamili and Rosita Jones land the polymorphs and the fears like they have been doing now. And we're going to see that paired up with big, beefy Chaos Bolts as well. The only real way to stop this from happening is, of course, to have that pressure. Now Zach's turn to kind of goal keep for his team. Make sure that Rubcub doesn't drink. Nice Death Grip into Asphyxiate, into the Mana Rift. You're going to tax Rubcub's mana a little bit more, and that pet as well is going to get rooted up. Now Valido getting feared into Rubcub. A little bit unlucky there for the team of M2KC, but Rubcub does get a restuff there. I believe that definitely came missed. Now they are going to find him, though. No mana to be found for Rubcub, unfortunately.
This is just devastating for M2KC. They have a great composition here, but it's just difficult in this matchup, and they have lost to this composition all day long. Currently 0-6 against it, I believe, so definitely an uphill battle. Never Lucky looking good so far. There's lots on the line for both of these teams. Infernal gets dropped out by Rosita Jones. He's looking to get aggressive on a Valido. Valido responds instantaneously with the anti-magic shell. That green circle around his character will provide him a lot of damage reduction. In fact, damage immunity to any spell damage, so very powerful tool that the Death Knight has available. Anti-magic zone, that purple shell as well, can make them very durable, but it wasn't traded out for too much. Jamili still has his Icy Veins rolling. I guess it was a Dark Soul from Rosita Jones. Doesn't want to be messing around. Colo in center field. He's got to be being a little bit scared here. We saw what happened to him yesterday through anti-magic zone when he played against Chanimal. Now Rosita Jones looking to take a page from Chanimal and make a swap over onto Colo, trying to get some damage rolling. Astral Shift trades out. Never Lucky survives. Rubcub, how is his mana? It's all about Rubcub's mana, and he was able to sit down for a drink. Not ideal for Never Lucky.
Yeah, and a couple of drinks like that is really going to set them ahead on the team of M2KC. So they really need to make sure that they are using all of their spells and coordinating who is stopping Rubcub on these drinks. Zach is also playing Rain from Above, a little page that he stole from Trill's book when they were playing this composition over at Method Orange. And it worked very, very effectively for him because it allows him to avoid a lot of the crowd control. A lot of the crowd control is, of course, going to be put over onto Zach, and that's going to allow him to get dispelled and then re-crowd controlled. But if he plays the Rain from Above, he can go up in the air after he gets dispelled and still dish out some damage. Now we do see the Frozen Orb dropped a lot of damage here, getting deflected by the Earthenwall Totem as well. And you can see Colo's positioning is the same. He is running at Rubcub for the majority of the game. We see an Asphyxiate comboed with the Mana Rift. Not going to be timed enough, well enough there. And Rubcub now behind the pillar looking for a drink. Zach, though, immediately on top of him, making sure that he doesn't get it. Jamili taking a little bit of pressure. Should be fine, though, with that Frozen Orb and that Temporal Shield now active.
Yep, going to be completely fine. Temporal Shield should bounce him back up to full. Rubcub's going to be using the Thorns as well as the Iron Bark to deny some damage. Polo getting interrupted. Valido in center field. Rosita Jones setting up his team for success. Looking for a fear. Rubcub now caught into a Fell Eruption. Mana Rift going to be landing once again, and slowly but surely, Never Lucky is securing another one of their mana leads in this situation. Cub might have to try to sneak away for a drink. Anti-magic zone's going to be used by Valido to slow down some of this damage as Colo is just caught into crowd control. He's been playing in center field for most of this game, and it's just made him really susceptible to the crowd control Jamili and Rosita Jones have available. Potentially he wants to reposition to a pillar, but looking like he always wants to try to back up his team and be one of the players that can push in and try to deny Cub drinks.
Yeah, and RMPal again now is going to be crossing the map. He is potentially getting that re-stealth drink off. Valido is right on top of him, though. I would have liked to see Cub stay in stealth there and move back to the other side. That's what we see Chaz and some of the other druids do, and that really has net them a couple of mana drinks. And now he's not going to be able to find it. Nice deflection here from Rosita Jones, spamming out the fierce, but there is a pet onto Cub, keeping him in combat. He's not going to be able to find that re-stealth now. And in situations like this where Cub is essentially wasting a lot of his time, I want to see more pressure onto Jamili. Whoever is chasing Cub needs to they just need to have one person chasing him and the other person just applying pressure onto Jamili. That way you get a lot of damage out. You burn even more mana from Cub, and that's really the goal here for Never Lucky. We do see the goal as well, charging towards Cub, and Valido's actually playing with a lot of these proc-based trades to keep Cub in combat with some of his damage over time effects as well. We've been seeing a lot of Death Knights do that to make sure that some of these druids don't get away as easily, and it's working out well for them.
Yeah, I think it's an intelligent choice as long as they can keep the diseases up onto Cub. Every time that disease ticks, he can get one of those procs from the Azurite traits, and that will stop Cub from drinking, as well as keep him in combat. So Never Lucky basically playing into their strategy. They just want to do everything they can to deny Cub from getting out of combat, getting out of drinks. It's up to Jamili and Rosita Jones to make sure that they are buying enough time for Cub, creating counter pressure and stalling out the game to that magic number, around 40% dampening, where Valido's going to start becoming a really good target for them to potentially take down.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think Zach and Valido are dishing out enough pressure as we see a Spirit Link Totem gets forced out. Preemptive Darkness there from Zach, overlapped actually with that Spirit Link Totem and the Anti-Magic Zone and the Ascendance. Huge overlap here for Never Lucky, and that's going to put M2KC ahead. The thing is, Cub, as long as he keeps his mana somewhat healthy to this point in the game where they can start getting out a lot of pressure, that's when he's going to get that hard reset that the Mage Lock Druid allows. And we're starting to reach that point. The only real defense now on Never Lucky is the personal cooldowns of the Demon Hunter, as well as that Anti-Magic Shell for Valido. So if they can get some cross CC here, they could potentially set up that big reset. And Rosita Jones, though, taking quite a bit of damage. No unending resolve available. He was used in the last exchange. Yeah,
definitely. Rosita Jones really vulnerable. Cub with no Iron Bark. What is he going to do? Zach and Valido starting to get some pressure rolling. Cub once again trying to run away. Innervate's going to be used. Can Colo purge it off? Getting into position. He wants to deny some of that free healing Cub has available with that Innervate. Now Zach going to be using that rain from above, flying up in the sky, getting some damage rolling on Rosita Jones. That's going to be super effective against a high health target like Rosita Jones, as it does do percentage-based damage. Frozen Orb being dropped out by Jamili. He needs to try to get something rolling. Rosita Jones is in so much trouble, finally gating away Cub with the Iron Bark, but I don't know if he has the healing. Rosita Jones in a lot of trouble. Colo potentially even throwing in some purges at this point of the game. Double Shadow Fury coming in. Rosita Jones getting low, gets interrupted. Cub with the regrowth. Topping, or not topping him, stabilizing Rosita Jones just a little bit, but still, there is no pressure for M2KC.
Yeah, and Colo is actually pushing in now, dumping a lot of his mana for those purges. It's doing wonders for his team at 36% dampening. Jamili is going to deflect that with the Polymorph, but this could potentially be the end for Rosita Jones. No Iron Bark available, nothing available, and Valido is going to take him down. But it was... I want to say this is a good matchup and a good match.
And you're saying,
yeah,
you were pretty sure that you thought that they would win, even if it wasn't a 3-0, when we talked about it a little bit. And I think your logic for why we could maybe see a game go the way of Mew Mew Kitty Cats when we were talking about it made a lot of sense, but I think the 3-0 also does. We're going to see them hanging out now behind the pillar for a little bit before we do get this started. Rosita Jones going to be on that Dread Steed, charging on in.
Let's see if Mew Mew Kitty Cats can clean it up here in this best-of-5 qualification to the spring finals. They've been struggling with this composition not only the entire season, but the entire day, and it would be 3 losses in a row to the same comp if they lose to Never Lucky here and now.
So Rosita Jones immediately, look at his demonic circle. You can barely see it, but it's on the other pillar on the other side. So immediately, that's a pretty significant mistake. He's going to be stuck where he is for a decent decent amount of time. And I mean, sure, he can go to his gateway and gate away, but then he gates on top of where his portal positioning is. So it's not an ideal situation for him to be. He's gonna have to drop his portal where he's standing right now, in my opinion, or he's gonna, well, he could port away as well, but then his healer would have to also reposition. RMPal now though, gonna be getting gripped into a mana rift right off the get-go. Rosita Jones looking for a Chaos Bolt, gets it off. Nice, triple DR Fear actually. A little bit of crowd control there onto Colo and Zach. Jamili looking for the re-polymorph. Colo though, he's gonna sit through it, and yeah, he is going to relay his demonic circle on top of that gateway. Now, the problem with that is that his gateway, or his portal, is always gonna be close to a pillar as well, which just allows Colo and everybody to have a great positioning on the side of Never Lucky. Rosita Jones is gonna need to make his way over to RMPal, or potentially relay his demonic gateway now as well. Not a great situation to be in as a Warlock. He's gonna have to drag the fight out a little bit.
For most of these wizards, it comes down to coordination and bursted damage. Overall pressure doesn't seem to be the name of the game, and M2KC may not just have the reps, the practice together to nail that coordination that is necessary when facing these compositions that something like the Super Frogs have. Rosita is just constantly under fire in midfield. If he demonic circles, it's not really that far away. I mean, you can then use the demonic gateway, but even that is in line of sight of Death Grip. So I'm not a big fan of the demonic circle placement of Rosita Jones. Now shifting it seemingly into the middle of nowhere. The strategy must be to just demonic circle into midfield and then burst somebody down. Nice nether ward on the Gladiator's Maledict there by Rosita, reflecting that back onto Colo, but still kind of the what do you consider them, the basics of Warlock? I mean, Demonic Circle is not something that's been selected for some time on Destruction, because you typically want the double Mortal Coil with Havoc, but Chanimal has shown that it is necessary when facing these Death Knight melee cleaves to be able to escape to safety during high burst intensity, and the way that Rosita Jones is playing around the Demonic Circle, these melee cleaves can just do whatever they want.
Well, that's the thing, is when we saw Demonic Circle be really good was against the Windwalker Death Knight through a Tiger Eye Brew all in. So Windwalker Death Knight, they'd sit back, they'd build up Tiger Eye Brew, and then make a push. And it was really difficult for the Warlock to escape, whereas for this, it's less about the all-in one-shot. So I don't even know if I like Demonic Circle nearly as much as against the Windwalker Death Knight, especially now Rosita Jones without being able to get the Mortal Coils. It's difficult to really set up his damage. But I can't really blame him, because Jamili with Polymorph is going to be putting that Mortal Coil on Diminishing Return consistently in the match. RMPal did manage to sneak away, recover some of his mana. Colo sitting at full mana as well. This is one of those matchups most likely going to require deep dampening. Rosita Jones at around 30% health right now, does have the unending resolve, but I don't really see Belito and Zach having the damage to push him over.
RMPal actually did get a whole bunch of mana there with that drink, so that's good for the M2 Kitty Cats. But I don't like the positioning of the fight in general for them. You don't really want Colo to be able to stay at a pillar like this and still be healing his teammates. That's essentially the main goal here. We see a bash into a polymorph. RMPal is going to position himself further away from the fight. I like that, but I want to see Rosita Jones and Jamili drag the fight to the corner. If you look at where the starting room is, if you go to the left of that, in that corner, that's going to give them the most amount of open space to work with. Instead here, Colo is basically always going to be able to run around and dodge as much CC as possible while still running towards RMPal, and we're going to see some all-in attempts onto Colo potentially here. It looks like the Mew Mew Kitty Cats wants to go after him. There's a Shadow Fury onto him. The Shadow Bolt gets stopped though, and Zach getting a nice little mana rift onto RMPal. Nice change of ice at the end of that stun as well, to make sure that RMPal is slowed at the end of that stun as he's playing that Relentless talent. Now Rosita Jones looking for a Fear and a Polymorph. Nice cross CC, but Colo looking for RMPal, trying to purge off that Innovate, not going to be able to find it. A lot of good pet control from the leader though. He's making sure that RMPal stays in the fight, and now RMPal wants to make his way around that pillar, root up the pet, and look for a restuff.
All right, Rosita Jones under fire here as Jamili secured crowd control, but absolutely zero counter pressure. Likely going to be seeing that magic 40% dampening mark for M2KC to find victory, facing Never Lucky's Cleave composition. Colo's revenge. He spent the entire day basically praying that M2KC would be knocked down 2 series in a row, and he will be granted a second chance to qualify to the spring finals. They looked solid in game 1 and honestly are looking solid here in game number 2. This is the best map, the best composition option for M2KC, and they are starting to fall behind. This is trouble. Never Lucky will move to match point and take the best map away from them, and it's just looking so devastating for M2KC overall. Jamili trying to frost over the team, trying to double blink in, manages to get a polymorph on a Colo with that. Rosita's the one under fire though. Zach denies the drink. Rain from above, so Zach also taking a talent choice from Trill, adding in a bunch of ranged damage and can also avoid some attacks. Valido gets destroyed in midfield as well. Multiple Gliders Maledicts dispelled off. Spirit Link Totem from Colo exchange, but for an ending resolve. And an easy trade on both sides as it's still anyone's match.
So they get the unending resolve there, which is nice, but again, a big overlap in terms of cooldowns. The Icebound Fortitude, the Anti-Magic Zone, the Spirit Link Totem. We see a nice double Shadow Fury here. This could be an opportunity where RubCub could get a drink. His team has decent amount of pressure. Valido going for that Dark Simulacrum. What did he snag? It looks like he's going to be sending his pet over to RubCub. Now RubCub, that's got to be a Shadow Melt restaff over there. He's on the other side. Now Zach and Valido looking to counter pressure, but RubCub has the Iron Bark. This should be a full reset on RubCub's mana bar for sure. Rosita Jones portaled with his demonic circle closer to RubCub. RubCub not going to greed it too much there. He's going to exit that drink a little bit early, and Valido not going to be able to get his damage over time effects. RubCub sitting down for yet another drink. Now Zach is looking to backflip his way over there. He does get one tick, I believe, from that drink, but one quick mana rift combined with that imprisonment is going to make sure that RubCub loses it right away when he gets back.
Zach's been looking good on the Demon Hunter so far, and if Never Lucky end up winning this matchup, but they are going to the spring finals, that's going to make all 4 teams from North America running this composition, at least in some capacity, and they've all used it in the tournament. Method Orange, Never Lucky, the Frogs, the Boys, all of them will have run it. M2KC definitely have a mountain to climb right now if they want to take down Never Lucky. So far they are down 1 map in the series, but this composition on this map theoretically should win. Never Lucky has had good pressure on Rosita Jones. Jamili really has to try to get something done.
Another thing that's interesting about what you just said, even if M2KC were to win this and go to the spring finals, they're going to face Method Black, which is the pioneers of this composition. So it's not looking too fun for them in general this season. Just not going to be able to really do much, but the pressure should be mounting up for them. RubCub, if he can get that ghoul that's pounding away from him, he could potentially look to get a drink. He needs to get a big drink here. And the only way he can really do that is if Rosita Jones and Jamili get good pressure here in a situation like this. Now the Infernals as well have landed, Sid.
Darkness from Zach saves the day right as those Infernals have landed. Positioning from Colo with Ascendance should allow him to top the team shortly, although at 20% dampening appears to be struggling. Polymorph on Zach is going to allow Zach to actually recover for free. Mana surprisingly evening out. Perhaps M2KC can pull this together, but if it's a close match on their best map, what's it going to be on their worst map? I think a pretty heavy one-sided match for Never Lucky, and because they won the blind pick on the swing match in Game 5, they will be able to pick the territory, and it will always be those small maps that they go for. RubCub with nothing really left in the tank, trying to keep his team going. Zach could be exposed here. That Glider Safeguard is procced. Might be a Spirit Link Totem. Huge damage from Jamili. Multiple Gliders Maledicts. That Earthen Wall Totem of Colo needs to be enough. Is it going to be? I-Beam from Zach, Metamorphosis activates. Now with the Anti-Magic Zone, they stabilize. Will they? That Anti-Magic Zone looking like it didn't do too much there for Zach. Very close call, but still alive. And alive is a lot better than that. Spirit Link Totem seemed a bit unnecessary. Now he's full polymorph. Zach on the run. Things are starting to unwind for Never Lucky.
Yeah, but look at M2KC. They may have ran out of time. RubCub only 5% mana left at this point, but he's in a good position. Unfortunately, the skeletal ghouls are chasing him across the map as he looks to retreat behind the pillar. Rosita Jones gets gripped in. RubCub still in combat, unable to sit down. Actually, now, if he recovers his mana, this is going to be huge saved, but I don't think he actually has the opportunity, unfortunately. Doesn't get any mana back. Colo's still sitting pretty at around 50%. Drops the Tremor Totem, gets the Fear out of the way. Full Polymorph, though, onto Colo. Rubcub looking to deny some offense by using Barskin onto Rosita Jones. Zach forced to run out of line of sight once again. Now Colo caught with a bash. Icy Veins is used by Jamili. He's looking to get hyper aggressive on Colo. Can they take him down? Astral Shift is going to be enough to keep Colo alive. Now Zach and Valido looking to get some pressure rolling.
Now the Icy Veins threat might not be there to try and kill off Valido and Zach. They can push forward and try and close this match out. Rubcub's totally tapped on mana. Pressure on Zach. This could be it. M2KC, they have to win this. It's their best map. It's their best comp advantage. They're not going to get a better opportunity to take out Never Lucky than this. They cannot afford to lose, but they're almost completely tapped on mana. Fortunately, they're getting good pressure. Zach gets bursted. Second Chaos Bolt denied. Overlapped with the Metamorphosis immunity. I think Zach wanted to immune frame that Chaos Bolt, but a miscommunication. Now they lose some disruption, and Rosita will connect the Chaos Bolt straight towards Zach. Limited defense. Colo is grounding totem. Drops it, but doesn't hit too many effective spells. Not a Chaos Bolt or a Polymorph. Now he's exposed. He Windshares the Polymorph, but now even more disruption isn't available. Colo moves in for reverse magic potentially, but he's caught in bash. You can't reverse that. Still pressure on Rosita. Iron Bark needs to be enough. Will it be as the case? Colo gets blasted. He moved into center field to gain advantage of reverse magic, but instead they attack him. Good punish from M2KC. Colo gets bursted. Vortex out of the anti-magic zone. He's on the run, but Infernals have landed. He can't afford to be in midfield any longer. He's easily going to fall. Wraps around the corner. Catches a Riptide.
Rubcub.
They easily gonna fall, but now Rosita in trouble. Colo survives and Rubcub's crowd controlled. Dampening is at critical mass and Rosita Nether Wards for a couple of extra seconds. Rubcub connects the Swiftmen. If he can get a Nourish off here, Rosita stabilizes and look where Colo is. He's in the middle of the map. Either Colo or Rosita could go down at any moment.
Yeah, that's Astral Shift, though. Colo should be able to survive. Rubcub completely tapped on mana. Rosita Jones looking to get aggressive with the Dark Soul. Zach and Valido, they have to interrupt him. This is danger time for M2KC. What is Jamili going to do? Full Polymorph onto Colo. Zach's getting low, but Rosita Jones is the one that's going to fall. And now, Never Lucky on match point, looking to send M2KC home.
Do we see much of a heartbeat right now?
And between Never Lucky and M2KC, and it seemed like at the desk we were in accordance that Never Lucky would because of their comps, but I don't think we've seen Pack Rats or Zach at LAN. That's really important to take into consideration when I think literally every other player has been to at least one LAN in the past. So having two players on your roster, which guarantees at least one of them will be in every game with zero experience on LAN.
All right, well, just to counter really quickly there, because I do agree, but do you remember the first LAN of last year?
All right.
Reformed showed up and they did not care at all. Typically that is something that we've seen, but a lot of the newer people who've come up in the World of Warcraft scene have just showed up to LAN, and for some reason they just have ice in their veins. I mean, Reformed is one of the...
Europe.
Especially from Europe. I actually do agree with that, because you look at who was one of the other players that you talk about with that. It's Acrolaws, but Acrolaws, I think you could look, though. I think Acro did really well.
Oh, I'm not saying Acro, but we've definitely seen teams struggle.
The previous year, some of his teammates, yeah. When you actually do look at Ratipie, I think Ratipie had one of the worst lands he could have had. Literally, first seed gets taken down by the 12th, right? So I think that we have seen plenty of players show up to LAN and have those jitters that Super Tease has mentioned, but in recent history, some of the teams have just showed up and looked great. Maybe we will see that from the young gun in Zach. Maybe we will see it from the likes of Pack Rat.
Very curious to see how they perform should they win this game here and qualify to the spring finals. M2KC are basically 0-8 for the day. They have to win 3 in a row against a composition that they have not been able to beat, despite playing a composition that we would effectively say is the perfect counter to Cleave setups between that Frost Mage and Destruction Warlock. They just don't have the reps on the composition. The coordination is lacking a bit. They came close in the last game, but close is not good enough when we're talking about qualifications. Rubcub trying to take control of the ghoul around the corner so that he can then get to safety and try and drink, but Valido death grips Rubcub into the fight and right into a stun mana rift. Chains of Ice to hold him in it. Valido with good awareness there, realizing the win condition is burning Rubcub out of mana. Colo lockdown and crowd control. Jamili trying to fake cast Dark Simulacrum and then go for the Polymorph, secures that. Reverse magic immediately breaks Colo out of it. Jamili gets a follow-up. Rosita likely to look for a fear here shortly. Not going to go for the fear, instead just focusing on ramping up those soul shards and looking for chaos bolts.
What
I don't know what's going on
Look
with
at
Rubcub's health.
mana and health.
Well, his health more so than his mana. Like,
Well, mana matters a lot too in this matchup.
what is he dying to? I feel like I've never seen a druid pressured like this by just the ghoul.
Yeah, well, the ghoul does a lot of damage.
Does it though?
Controlled by, I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with some explanation. Maybe he's getting mana rifted and he's just not healing through it, trying to conserve as much mana as possible. But right now, I mean, maybe he's waiting for the mage food to heal him up if he can sneak away for a drink instead of using mana on rejuves to keep himself alive. But one thing's for sure, things are not looking good here for M2KC. Rubcub's mana getting low, hasn't been able to drink, now finally sneaks away, gets in stealth. Rosita Jones getting low, trades out the unending resolve for what I imagine is going to be full mana for Rubcub, and I don't know if that's a bad trade. I think that's fine at this point in the game.
It's not full. It's close, but it's not full.
There's no dampening, so I think he's fine.
We'll have to wait and see. Again, this is the second best map for M2KC in this series, and if they lose here, they're just gone. So at this point, they have to battle it out on two disadvantaged maps, and that being said, Neverlucky don't even need to play the same composition. Perhaps they've got a Wizard Cleave of their own that they could break out, and then suddenly M2KC can't deal with it. They are against the wall right now. 0-8 for the day. Qualification's on the line. Rubcub goes for a drink, but with limited defense on Rosita, Neverlucky can make a push while Rubcub looks to regenerate. Now feared on his way back. Valito has been on point in this match in particular with the crowd control and support for the team and these Dark Simulacrums as well. We see Glider's Maledict get nether warded by Rosita Jones. Good reaction there. That's going to bounce back at Colo, deny the benefits. He's been on point with regards to the nether ward. Really, my only criticism of Rosita Jones is either just coordinating with Jamili for big burst windows or his Demonic Circle placement. I would almost much rather see him just drop Demonic Circle entirely and go for the Mortal Coils. Like you were pointing out, the reason they went for the Demonic Circle build was to deal with the Windwalker variant, the Windwalker all-in. This is not a Windwalker all-in, so Rosita could gain more benefit from having double Mortal Coil to set up for damage than the Demonic Circle that, in my opinion, he is not using to the best of his ability.
Well, Rubcub is positioned really far away, and once again, now M2KC, they're going to have a massive mana lead unless Zach was able to shut it down. We'll have to see. He's looking for a mana rift. Can he find one? Imprisonment on Rubcub will burn away a little bit of his mana. Now full fear on Rubcub. Nicely done there by Valito, stealing one of those fears from Rosita Jones. Rosita Jones and Jamili, they have to be careful. Dark Simulacrum, really powerful tool that the Death Knight has available. He can be stealing crowd control from Rosita Jones and Jamili, and if he lands that crowd control, that's the added damage and opportunity that Neverlucky really needs to potentially take Rosita Jones down.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. Mana's evening out. This is basically tournament qualification on the line for Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Colo's revenge here against Jamili. A grudge match between these rivals throughout the spring season. Who's going to take that fourth spot? Because only one of them can. Colo recovering with Valito back around the corner as Rubcub was trying to retreat away and regenerate. Zach denies it. Colo moving in for a sneaky hex, dispelled instantly by Rubcub, but now the fear cannot be dispelled off of Rosita with the fear. Rubcub, he's just getting rotted down so heavily. It's a surprising amount of extra damage added onto him between Valito and Zach's mana rifts, and this split pressure is really burning that mana bar even faster. Full polymorph secured, anti-magic zone. He gets feared out of it, although now wind sheared by Colo. Good disruption overall, and I will say to credit of Neverlucky, throughout this entire season, they are the most improved team overall. They came in as basically a bunch of misfits that didn't have a place, and they managed to make a team together and build themselves up through the tournament, and they're one game away from qualifying to the LAN, and with time in between now and that LAN, I'm curious to see what they can get done.
Yeah, definitely. Colo wants it more than anyone else. Rubcub was able to sneak away and get full mana. Not the position you want to be in as Neverlucky. They have to do a better job. Rubcub's been doing an excellent job, way better than on Tolvaron, to sneak away, avoid mana rifts, keep his mana up high. Colo, in the meantime, hasn't had that same luxury. His mana is slowly but surely dwindling away, but he might be able to hold on to it in this particular match. For the Restoration Druid, he is required to go sneak away and get consistent drinks. For the Restoration Shaman, the Mistweaver Monks, the Holy Paladin, sometimes they don't have to do that as much as the Restoration Druid. So Neverlucky, if they can hold on, stay stable, they might be able to still burn through some of Rubcub's mana.
Zach breaking Colo out of that polymorph chain. RubCub's done a great job to maintain his mana deeper into dampening, most certainly setting his team up for victory. Perhaps they can break the slump. Can they put a point on the board and then put 2 more consecutively after that? Potentially, it would be better suited to see the Shadow Priest Rogue from them. I mean, we saw Change My Mind do work with that in the European region, and Mew Mew Kitty Cats have Jamili Shadow Priest, Roasty's Rogue. They could do the same if they need that as a composition moving forward. Zach still low on health. Not much defense here. They don't want to commit the darkness unless there's a powerful cooldown like Infernals or Icy Veins, but with Colo crowd controlled, they may need to. Colo actually uses the Glidier's Medallion. And again, it's not typical that we see a Shaman use the Glidier's Medallion by itself. You usually want to use that in conjunction with a Spirit Link Totem or in conjunction with a Grounding Totem. So having used that Glidier's Medallion, effectively not with anything combined with it, now means when he's crowd controlled later, he won't be able to access Spirit Link Totem to survive.
Yep, RubCub once again getting caught into a fear. Valido doing a good job with the Dark Simulacrum. 21% dampening at this point. Never Lucky up 2-0 in the series. They're on match point. If they end up winning this, if they can take Rosita Jones down, they will be securing their spot at the spring finals. M2KC backs against the wall. What are they going to do? Colo's almost completely out of mana. Jamili secures a full polymorph. Zach could be in a little bit of trouble. Beautiful vortex by RubCub. Keep Zach in place, but so much mobility the Demon Hunter has. He's able to escape once again out of line of sight of Rosita Jones, healing himself back up. Now RubCub's mana still getting low. Has a little bit of an edge on Colo, but I think it's going to be fine. That was a beautiful sheep by Jamili, denying that rain from above from Zach. He flew up in the air, immediately grounded. All right,
Valido under fire here. Mew Mew Kitty Cats need to stay alive if they want to qualify. Colo's Spirit Link Totems a bit preemptive. I mean, it's for the Icy Veins and the Infernals, but I'm not sure if it was really necessary. At least it's an even exchange, and those threats won't be available for some time until Spirit Link is back. But Colo's out of mana. His team's getting bursted. Dampening is ramping up. Now crowd controlled. This is the most momentum that we have seen from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Perhaps the comeback. Can they do it? They need to win 3 in a row. If they want to stay alive, they need to do it at least now. Zach's still low on health, holding onto that darkness. It would be beneficial to hold that so they can make a push with it, stay out in midfield and be safe and try and crush Rosita. RubCub gets stunned up, gripped into the fight as they look to target him down a bit, trying to burn the remainder of his mana. Colo needs to be careful. He's bashed. Jamili may swap to him, although that didn't really work out, so perhaps Jamili will hold his damage for Valido deeper into dampening. Chaos Bolt connects onto Valido. Frozen Orb pins him down. Jamili and Rosita split up. RubCub sneaks away. Perfect positioning from the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. They've got Never Lucky in checkmate at this point, and this is their best performance so far today.
Yeah, they're heating up, and there's definitely hope for them in this series still. Interrupt on the Colo. Can they take Zach or Valido down? Rosita Jones in a little bit of trouble. Has the unending resolve. Trades it out. Looking to get aggressive, but Zach, they're just looking to push through. Second Gladiator's Maledict. A third coming in from Colo. Rosita Jones not getting healed up. RubCub getting feared once again. The game-winning fear from Valido. Beautifully done. Never Lucky going straight to the spring finals. Unfortunate for M2KC. They just didn't have an answer for this composition.
Oh, they definitely don't. Losing to it 9 times today alone. Back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And now Colo is going to make sure that Jamili doesn't make it to land. And also that ending, they're going to do it in style. What a beautiful way to round out the online play for the entire season.
Wow. It really looked like this was the game where M2KC are finally going to put a win on the board. And RubCub, he's behind the pillar, you know, he has a good positioning, he's drinking, you know. Colo, Valido, and Zach all stacked up behind the pillar. They're in that checkmate positioning. Colo is they're running low on defensives. Then they go in for the push, and then we're going to see an interrupt on Rosita Jones on the fear. RubCub coming back in, trying to stabilize Rosita Jones. He should have Iron Barked immediately when he came back here, honestly. A bit of a mistake on RubCub's end, and then, of course, the fear is going to be getting dark simmed right there from Valido. RubCub playing relentless as well, getting feared up himself. Unending Resolve is going to time out, and so is the Iron Bark, and so is the HP bar of Rosita Jones, and the dreams of M2KC of qualifying for this cup, for this land, sorry.
Yeah, this land, it's not going to happen. But when you look at this team, and Never Lucky, and it's fitting that these were the two teams that are going head-to-head. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but when you look at both of these rosters, I think throughout the year, they're just going to get so much better with more time to figure out where they need to focus. And Rosita Jones is such an incredible pickup to the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. I think that has given them such a good shot to move up on the standings throughout the entirety of the year. And keep in mind, all of these points are going to matter not only in our spring season, but also in the second season as well, where you can get that qualification into the finals. But it's going to be those teams above that gold bar, the top 4 teams from each region, who we will be seeing very shortly. Method Black, Wildcard Gaming, Change My Mind, ABC, Super Frogs, The Boys, Method Orange, Never Lucky. Congratulations. We will see you